Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 22nd edition of the Alabama Crimson Tide College Show from yours truly, Jackson Johnson and Jeffrey at Only Taught Sports, where we take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide. And it's always a wild ride when we discuss your takes on the Alabama Crimson Tide football program and other athletics, like college basketball, for example. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Doing pretty good, Jackson. Definitely excited to talk some more Alabama football on the Collins Show with you guys. You guys, the audience, always make it a great time. So definitely appreciate your guys' participation. Hopefully we get some pretty good calls tonight. We know for sure one caller on the line that we're about to be having soon, which it's always a great time talking to him. And yeah, I mean, like you said, even though this is the Alabama, like football college show, like Alabama, the voice of college football, basketball is the hot topic right now. March Madness is basically here. We are in March. We're not in, like the NCAA tournament time yet or anything like that, but we are very close. Conference tournaments are heating up in the small conferences. So definitely a lot of talk there. And Alabama basketball kind of on a bit of a skid. Their defense letting them down. We got to improve on that side of the ball if we're going to make a deep run in the tournament. But definitely we'll talk about that and more, and some Alabama football news as well. Can't wait to get into it.
Agreed. One of our YouTube members, the Godfather of the SEC, shares our concern about the Alabama basketball program. And he also says, let's get the party started. Hello, everyone. He wants to know if you've been sleeping lately.
Not right now. Definitely though. Can't wait to get some sleep after the show is over though.
There we go, man. But I can tell you this though. Here's a little something that'll make everybody sleep easier. You can become a Crimson Faithful member at Alabama at the Voice College Football, where you can get a loyalty badge next to your name and in the comment section, and you get a member shout out and a custom emoji to use in the comments and the live chat. And that's all for $2.99 a month. For $4.99 a month, you can become a Saban disciple. And in return, you get priority replies to the comments and an access to a monthly hangout from yours truly and Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports, Manny Wilson, Brady Quoto, and Coach Johnny Burtz at Alabama at the Voice College Football. And for $9.99 a month, you can connect on social media with each of us and give out content requests of any kind, and neither rain nor sleet nor snow will put a stop from fulfilling your request at Alabama at the Voice College Football. So come on in and check out the YouTube membership of Alabama at the Voice College Football. And of course, you can check out Disputed National Champions, College Football's Historical 1990s Reset, written by Mark Rogers. And in this book, you'll learn about what happened during the 90s, how the decade changed sport, why the championship results should be questioned, how to correctly think through the scenarios, and to appreciate the accomplishments of teams that were not recognized as champions. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the changes, controversies, and outcomes that define a decade of college football. It challenges readers to explore and critically evaluate the decisions that shaped the national championship landscape. Unlock the mysteries of college football's most debated decade. Grab your copy now.
Definitely. It doesn't matter what time of year, what holiday we getting towards now, like St. Patrick's Day, right? Like get it for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah. And don't forget the Easter bagel will bring all that.
Yeah, he will, unless you're Charlie Brown. Then he won't.
Oh yeah. Yep. And Easter Bunny's also getting all that squared away as well. So I mean they're just like working.
Charlie Brown might have a shot there. Maybe.
I think like the Easter Beagle and the Easter Bunny, they're just getting up a bunch of me seats boxes for Rick and Morty. Just be like, you know what? We gotta get this order done. We gotta fill it up.
Oh man.
And of course, our guy, Godfather's got the number one finger, giving out that foam finger. Man, that is an example of what you can bring out on when you become a YouTube member at Alabama at the Voice College Football. You get all these cool, amazing emojis, man. You can put them out in the chat. Oh, man. Well, before we get to our first caller, our guy Ryan Grubb had his first press conference as the Alabama offensive coordinator. And in one of the topics he talked about, he was asked about like his take about the quarterback race. And he made a comparison to Keelan Russell being a little bit more like Michael Penix Jr. That's a pretty cool comparison right there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that is a positive comparison, because Penix was very good. And also when you look at the fact that Ryan Grubb was, his coordinator, and that's when he had his most success in college. That if he is comparing, Russell to him, that you would think that he maybe has a great chance to start, or that he's stylistically the type quarterback that will fit the system that they're wanting to run way better than Milroe, like we've talked about at length this past season. So I think it is a positive sign. The only thing is, though, is that you could also look at it, him putting that comparison out there, it puts more pressure on Keelan Russell to succeed. I mean, that is true. I also think that, stuff like that can be a bit overblown, because like if you're a competitor, as an athlete, you're going to want to, overperform, expectations. He's already a highly rated recruit. He knows what's at stake at Alabama. Like, if you don't get the job done, you're going to get benched. Like, fans are going to be upset, whether that's right or wrong. That's just the way that it is. You saw fans turn on Milroe this past season because they didn't do that well, even though I don't think it was all his fault. But I think it's a positive thing on that comparison. But definitely, he's got a lot to live up to with that comparison.
Well, and it's funny though, like he brings up about how like, being at Alabama was the third time being a charm, because it was like the first time in February 2023, Nick Saban offered him the offensive coordinator position. And it's funny though, I compared it to kind of like Jeff Brom. When Brom was offered a spot in Saban's staff for 2007, he turned that down. Same thing with Ryan Grubb. He had a chance to be on Saban's staff 2023, turned that down. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to stay with my guys, Roma Dunze and Michael Penix and all those guys at Washington for another year. And we're going to see what we can make 2023 for Seattle. And then 2024, the retirement happened. Ryan Grubb back in Tuscaloosa. He's going to be the right-hand man of Kalen DeBoer yet again.
I will say, though, I think this is a big season for him, because when you look at the fact that Ryan Grubb had the success that he did at Fresno State and Washington with Kalen DeBoer, and then he goes off to the NFL, and I wouldn't say he got fully blamed for some of Seattle's shortcomings, but he ended up basically getting let go, right? So now he's back in college, and he's at the biggest school that he's ever been at when it comes to expectations as an offensive coordinator. If he does not live up to expectations, or produce the type stats that he had with his team at Washington, his offense at Washington rather, then Ryan Grubb's going to catch a lot of flack. And I do think it's going to definitely hurt the trajectory of his career as a coach. So this is a big year for him. He definitely has to live up to expectations too, not just Keelan Russell. I mean, obviously, I think if Keelan Russell is the starter and he has a lot of growing pains, that's no one's going to lay that on Grubb. But Grubb has to have this offense be good, be dynamic, a lot better than it was this past season. So I think there is a lot of pressure on Grubb to succeed as well.
Yeah, I mean, like Grubb will have to have a really successful season for 2025, but I'll be honest, I think he's gonna be okay. Like, because I mean, like, if he doesn't have a good season as offensive coordinator for 2025, then there's gonna be issues, right? But if he does have a really good season, which again, I believe he can, then there's going to be a lot of teams calling for him to be their Nets head coach. There's going to be some smaller Power Four schools or some AAC, Sunbelt schools calling him up saying, hey, we want you to be our Nets head coach. There's going to be those schools wanting to call up Ryan Grubb.
The only issue is, though, is just say that happens. where he has a great year, and then another team, smaller team, wants him to be their head coach. With Nick Saban, we got accustomed to that. We got used to losing coordinators every year. I mean, it's just the way, it's the name of the game. Like, if you got good coordinators and they're putting up good stats with the players you got, they're going to get poached. It's just the way it is. But Nick Saban, almost every single time, got the next hire right. So when you look at Kalen DeBoer's career as a head coach at the Power 4 level, or even the mid, not the mid-major as college basketball, but like the Group of 5 level, he had his success with Grubb. This past season with Sheridan at offensive coordinator for Alabama was not good. So can Kalen DeBoer replace Grubb if they lose him again? Or, for DeBoer, lose him again, but in case of Alabama, lose him for the first time or probably the only time. I'm just saying that I think that's something to watch. I think the two biggest questions is whether Ryan Grubb lives up to the expectations that have been set for him based on what he's done previously as a coordinator. And if he does live up to those expectations and Bama loses them, can Kalen DeBoer replace him and get somebody else that's really good? Because the only other time we've seen him with an offensive coordinator, at the Power 4 level, it didn't go very well. So I'm not super confident that he'll be able to replace that guy. I think him and Grubb have a good tandem, but can he find someone else that's just as good once they lose Grubb? Because they will lose him one way or another eventually. Whether he does good, he'll go to another team, whether it's the NFL again or become a head coach, or if he does bad, they'll have to fire him because that's just the way it is at Alabama.
Well, he was asked about like what to expect on play calling in that press conference, and he said, "We're going to be aggressive. We want guys to be aggressive when it works the best." And the understanding that the players have that we got to be responsible with the football, not go backwards. Make sure that we're always matriculating the ball down the field.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, don't want to be passive. Teams that play slow in college basketball and teams that play slow in college football, they can win games, but it doesn't always work. You have to have like the perfect team, especially in college football. Like, you have to have a really good team to play slow, and it's almost impossible. Because if you're playing faster, especially if you're going up against a good defense, then you can sometimes catch them off guard, right? But if you're like not playing what like hurry up offense, where huddle, you don't do that. Where you're just like you're using the whole play clock or whatever, and you're snapping it with like 1 second or whatever. Then you see the defense for the other team just jump off the line. And because they know when you're going to snap it, like, you have to mix up your tempo. Sometimes go fast, sometimes go slow. Because there were a lot of moments this past season with Alabama where I did not feel that Kalen DeBoer managed the clock well. There were moments where, I'm liking the fact that they're, having this tempo, but then Alabama would be winning, and then they would just continue to play that way. Like they could have run the ball, they could have, run out the clock, won the game, but like they almost lost to a couple of teams because of that. Because they didn't manage the clock well. I didn't really like the clock management. So yeah, I'm fine with the tempo and all that, wanting to play fast, but you have to vary it. You have to know when to be fast and when not to be. It's not a one size fits all on whether to go fast or slow. You have to mix it up.
That's true, man. That is true. And he's pretty impressed with Austin Mack. He even brought it so in the press conference, and he's still kind of waiting and seeing on Ty Simpson, but it's gonna be fine. I think
Simpson's most likely not going to be the guy if Grubb is giving that many praises to Keelan Russell. Coaches tend to most of the time give away who it's going to be, with their words. And I think Ty Simpson will eventually transfer unless he's content to be a backup at Bama, which some people might be content at that. But If he wants any shot to do anything with his football career, he's going to have to leave if he doesn't start.
True.
But I don't think he's going to start. But definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what Grubb does. Definitely think more than likely that he will do really well, but definitely has high expectations set for him.
True. And before we get to our first caller, I decided to, be generous tonight and
Jackson
give
giving away
the,
presents.
it's like, hey, I mean, I'm no Mr. Beast, but I'll do my best to be. And I want to give a congratulations to Sean Garner because he is now our 7th member of Alabama at the Voice of College Football. Man, you're going to get some kickbacks on the Alabama channel, Sean. Congrats. And we have our first caller of the night. You know him, you love him on Twitter, on TikTok, the one and only Alabama Richie.
Hey, how are you guys tonight?
Oh, we're
Doing
doing
pretty good.
great. How you
Appreciate you
doing
for
tonight?
calling.
How
Yes,
you doing
sir.
tonight, good buddy?
Hey, not too bad. Was gonna say that I like what y'all said about Grubb. I think he's one of the better hires in this DeBoer era that most people would expect. And being with Kalen most of the time, at Indiana, Washington, Fresno State. He knows what he's doing. I thought it was, at first, I was thinking it was one of those, I threw my guy a life raft because he didn't have a job. He was kind of, hungry for something. And then he said, I think we can do something. Now, I'm sad a little bit for Sheridan, but sometimes the relationships don't really pan out. And I think Sheridan was just a guy where he felt that he threw him in there and was like, well, if it doesn't work out with Seattle, maybe my guy will start thinking about wanting to come back. And one of the things that Saban always said, and this is something that I learned a long time ago. So everybody knows Will Muschamp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Muschamp got the job at Florida after not after LSU, but a little bit later. Um, After Urban Meyer, and it doesn't pan out there. He gets the job over at South Carolina. He does just okay, but not enough. And then they hire Shane Beamer. Saban praised a guy like him as a great coordinator because when he was a coordinator, he was one of the better defensive minds. He had some of the best defense. I thought he did a great job at Georgia during the championship run. I think this is an instance where Grubb and DeBoer are going to match up pretty well because they have this team chemistry together where they believe that if they can get everything together and learn something, I think it'll be one of the better hires. And I still think it is in Kalen's deal at Bama. And you're right. If he has a bad season, then it's not going to help his case out for another job somewhere. Because if you look at a guy like him, right, we have such a high standard at Bama to where if you fail, then everyone's going to look at you as what went wrong. Who do you blame? Is Kalen the guy? Was Grubb the right fit? Is it because the SEC so stacked? Was it because the Pac-12 was mediocre to some degree? They helped out a guy, and I think that the board can figure it out with Grubb, and I think it's a marked improvement. But it's going to be interesting to see these guys come together, and especially with Keelan Russell, because there's another guy that I was going to bring up. He's from Houston, Texas, and this guy is another 5-star quarterback that's supposed to come out of the 2026 class. He hasn't signed any paperwork yet, no dotted line or anything, but he's the next guy if Keelan doesn't do that well or, they go a different direction. So you got to be, to me, I hope that, Grubb does a good job and the Penix comparisons stand out because I've always said that if you can take a guy that has high expectations, make him a good quarterback, then it just not only makes you set up for your future in the NFL, but it makes your the team happy and it makes the culture gel together. And again, um, I think you'll see in those throwaway games Ty Simpson a little bit just to see
Mm-hmm.
what you can get. And you'll probably see a little bit of Mac maybe because of what he's done to like chip in. But they're really looking to lean towards Keelan Russell. They don't want to be known for losing another 5-star quarterback because with this NIL deal, I'm just scared that if he has a good season or something, he could leave because I said the same thing about Lenora Sellers at South Carolina, right? After they lost to us, they went like almost, if I'm not mistaken, undefeated, except for the bowl game. So again, I think that, guy like that will be a hot commodity if he has a good season, Keelan. And I just hope that he wants to stay playing for us, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that used to never be a concern. It's crazy that it is. Like Caleb Downs leaving. I know the coaching change. I understand the coaching change, and that contributed and everything. But portal era and NIL, you wouldn't have seen that. You would never have seen a guy leave Alabama who was a starter. It's just wild. I mean, we've lost guys like JoJo Earl and Ajah Hall in the past. And, Billingsley, they didn't work out. Like guys like that, it was fine. But now we're losing starters. Like if Keelan Russell has a great season and then transfers, that would look horrible for Alabama. It would be terrible. I mean, if he has a bad season and then he transfers, it's different. Like that's different. But you can't have a good season and like he's a starter, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and then he goes to Ohio State or something like that. You just can't have that.
Yeah. And there's other teams out there that'll find a way to buy him in if you're not careful too, because you got those Ohio States, the Michigans, the Georgias, the whatever schools that are desperate for a quarterback, right? If he does well, his next option that offered him could get him, like an Oregon. And one of the scariest things that I see is, so his best friend is the starting wide receiver at Oregon that they played together at Duncanville. So my biggest concern is going to be that if we have a good season with him, so here's an example. Ryan Williams, Jalen Mbakwe, right? We all knew that Ole Miss offered Mbakwe that huge amount of money, and everyone flipped and said, you shouldn't be able to do that, right? But I said to people, well, hey, money talks. So it's only up for the kid. I agree with what you said about how back then you didn't have to worry about if you were going to leave or not. Now it's like, hey, if I'm offered more money and I can still start for you, why would I want to stay somewhere where I can make the money and still play, and it'll still help me out for the future? So it's the only concern I have. But what do you think about that, Jackson?
Well, I'm curious to see what's going to happen. That's what I'm curious about.
I don't want to lose Ryan Williams or Keelan Russell, especially if Keelan Russell does well. And Ryan Williams is fantastic. There were even rumors this past offseason. People were really buying into him, saying that he was going to leave. I didn't think so, and he stayed. But like I said, never used to be a concern, and now it is. You have to re-recruit your team every single offseason. It makes it that much harder on coaches, but coaches are making a lot more money than they used to. So they're working harder to keep these guys so that they're earning their paychecks, I guess. That you just have to do it. It's the new day and age that we live in college sports, for better, for worse. There's nothing where you can do to change it right now. So, you're going to lose guys that you don't want to lose sometimes. You look at college basketball. The Alabama basketball fans were really mad this past offseason when Rylan Griffin left. Went to Kansas. He was a starter for Bama last year, and he goes to Kansas. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. You're going to lose starters. Felix Okpara was a starter at Ohio State, and he goes to Tennessee. Clifford Omarui was a starter at Rutgers, goes to Bama. Starters are leaving everywhere. It doesn't matter. Even if you're a blue blood, you're losing guys. Jeremy Roach left Duke and went to Baylor. Why? He was a starter at Duke. It doesn't make sense. That's just what people are doing now.
Yeah. That is true. But what else have you got for us tonight, Bama Richie?
I got one more for you guys. So I brought out this book for everybody. I wanted to show this to you. And this is a pretty cool book I've been reading. I'm going to get y'all's book after that. But it's called The Leadership Secrets of Nick Saban. I don't know if you've ever read this book.
Oh, that's the guy from 247 Sports. Nice.
John Talty.
And our guy Nick Saban. Nice.
Yep. So before this book, I just got done reading How Good Do You Want to Be? and it doesn't talk about Bama, but it talks about his earlier coaching career. And one of the things that this book has talked about so far that I wanted to share to everybody and you guys is it's not like it used to be back in the day, because I read something very interesting and it dawned on me. So everybody remembers Scott Cochran. I'm sure you remember old Scotty
Yeah.
C. Scott
We were
Cochran was
never
one
the
of
same after Cochran left.
well, we want to. So when we lost those couple coordinators, people said that they thought Saban was one of the best guys to bring in coordinators because we won a championship after losing one of the best like assistant coach careers, right? So I think that this is definitely going to be the reason I bring that up is I learned in this book that if you can do the same thing with Coach DeBoer, I think we'll be set up for success. And so that's one of the things. But this is a very good book, and John Talty is an absolute great writer. He gave a lot of insight. The one about I can't remember the guy's name, but he was one of the biggest starters for us on the 2009 championship team, and he ended up doing dip, like dip that everybody does, like chewing tobacco, and he ended up spinning. They asked him a question in the press, like in team meeting where they were going over film, and he just got so dizzy and not passed out, but he was just completely disoriented. But they asked him a question, and he still was able to give a full on answer and things. Next thing you know, Saban said. And there's a rumor that the dude got into some fight at like a McDonald's or a Wendy's or something. But the point being is Saban was such a good guy to be able to bring character out of people and change attitude and change a way. So the only thing that I mean by that is I really hope that Coach DeBoer brings a little bit of that out this year in terms of like getting these guys to understand that, hey, if you make a mistake, you need to be accountable for it. Or if because like in that game against Michigan, right? Justin Jefferson hit somebody, like he punched him, and then everybody looked at him and was just like, just move on to the next play. And I thought, man, if Saban would have been out there, he would have lit this guy's tail. But
Yeah.
it's just a new way of college football. I think the coaches are being a tad bit soft because they're afraid to lose these guys for any reason. So it's the only thing I wanted to say about it. But other than that, I'm looking forward to the season. Our basketball team will bounce back and go from there. But I'm going to catch up with you guys later. Appreciate y'all having me on. And SEC Godfather, thanks for being a member to the Good Boys. You do a justice for us, and I'll join very soon. Appreciate you guys.
There we
Appreciate it,
go.
Alabama Richie.
We'll be seeing you later, Richie.
Yes, sir.
Check him
Catch up
out
with
on
you guys.
X/Twitter and on Alabama Richie 3 on TikTok.
Thank you guys very much. Catch up with y'all.
Have a good night.
All right, man. Before we get to our next callers, we want to make sure to tell you to catch Alabama live on your favorite audio platform on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Please leave a rating and review, preferably a 5-star, of course. But come on in and check out Crimson Tide Live and the Alabama Call-In Shows and whatever else on Alabama the Voice of College Football has for you on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeart. You are not going to want to miss it. You love the YouTube version, but you'll love it even more on Apple and Spotify and Amazon iHeart. It is a go-to for Alabama football. Stay tuned. All righty, then. We've got our next callers. We've got Will and D on the line. But before we get to Will, and we've got my IT guy telling us to tune in for the Stump Jack and Jeffrey hour. No Chat GPT tonight. It's like Chat's like, nope, we got Call on the Fine Bomb show. We're out. So
Looking forward to that. Hey, Will.
Hey, I was just saying, like, I was gonna say, like, with Grubb coming in, like, I wouldn't completely rule out, like, I mean, I know you think Simpson stinks and Austin Mack, but like, I would like, I mean, he's a true freshman. Like, I feel like Grubb is gonna at least get one of the other guys ready to play, and I feel like they'll both get some time, at least in the beginning of the year. Like probably
I agree
Mac.
with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that in the early games against the terrible non-conference teams, you'll see
Florida
you'll see those
State.
other guys. Yeah, it should be. I mean, we should be fine. I love about the post on the Voice of College Football X account where it said Alabama Florida State was the 8th best non-conference game. I'm like, yeah, it better not be a good.
We're
game.
gonna smack Florida
It
State.
better not be a good game.
They've
Like, we
been
better pull off.
whining, crying, throwing a fit at the grocery store about how they're going to leave the ACC. Well, I'm going to tell you this. We're coming into their house.
Ty
On
Simpson
August
needs
3rd.
to get a run in that game. It show you that we're doing good.
Man, I am so ready for that game. I am so ready for it because yet again, they're crying, throwing fits at the grocery store. We're preparing for those Florida State Seminoles. We are ready for them.
Mhm.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just feel like not a lot of true freshmen have been that successful right off the bat. So I just feel like you at least got to give Mac a shot. I mean, since he's been praising Mac, he's probably ahead of Ty Simpson in the pecking order.
That is a good point. I will agree with that. I mean, because I was a proponent for Nico not playing in the first year at Tennessee, and he really didn't play much, and then he played this past season. So I just feel like Alabama's in kind of a tough spot because you've got a couple of guys that no one really trusts or believes in, and then you've got this uber talented true freshman coming in. So everybody's like, go with that guy, and DeBoer's in a situation where he's not coming off a great season. Like, if he was coming off a great season, like 11-1, 12-0, and a playoff run, then you can maybe afford some of these growing pains with figuring out the quarterback. But there's just so much pressure to get this right because you can't start off on the wrong foot or he might start losing some of the fan base, which you do not want. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know which way he should go. I mean, like you said, if Mac is getting all these praises throughout spring and into the fall, then maybe he'll have a shot. I just don't think Simpson's it. I mean, he just has not impressed me. Maybe he can get better. There's always room for improvement, but if you haven't improved enough by now, it's just hard to believe that he's going to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if Keelan Russell wasn't in the picture, then I think the situation would be more dire. At least you have one really, really talented guy that you're like, maybe he can it'll click immediately. But if not, then hopefully one of the other two works out. I don't know. It's an interesting situation for Bama to be in because we have not really had this much quarterback uncertainty in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just one non-football thing, man. The end of that Old Dominion Texas State conference tournament game, man. Like ODU made a 3 late, and then they fouled a guy shooting a half-court shot, and then he missed all the free throws. He missed all the free throws, and Old Dominion escaped, man. It's fun.
Dude, that is embarrassing.
Oh,
you cannot miss all the free throws.
Oh man, you gotta send a link to that.
That would be something Indiana would do.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll send it.
Appreciate it, Will. Have a good night.
We'll be seeing you soon. Will, you stay safe, stay cool, stay away from the heat.
Thanks, guys.
All righty then. Before we get to the Stump Jack and Jeffrey hour, we would like to tell you about the sponsorship for the Voice of College Football. But let's see if I can find it. Here we go. And you can come on in and check out. You can come on in and get your business, product, service, personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football. See what friend Win Agency has to say about its sponsorship experience with us. Let's discuss how you can reach your target market. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. You can get some top-notch stuff. You can be a part of the magic with the Voice College Football. All righty. Then we're going to have our next caller. And while we wait for the IT guy, we got our new YouTube member of Alabama with the Voice College Football and recurring co-host of CFB After Dark, Sean Garner. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for the membership. It was a nice little surprise. Got that in my inbox a few minutes ago.
You're welcome, man. It was like I just want to see who's going to be lucky number 7, but
Oh, damn.
three more. We'll make it 10, and we're going to get to 20 members, 30 members. Hey, we'll be having some member only shows some point real soon.
Absolutely.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, get on here, talk some Bama football.
Yeah,
Just the
Jackson
diehards.
don't want to do it at 3 a.m. I'm like, no.
I won't put Jeffrey through that. I'm not going to do that to him, but I'll probably find a few crazies. Oh man. So what's on your mind for tonight for the Alabama Crimson Tide, good buddy?
Oh, not much. It's all you guys, Alabama's already started spring ball. Is that right?
Yep. We're through our second spring practice.
Wow, that is just crazy. It feels like the season ended like a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it does feel a lot quicker because of the new playoff format. You know, with the game was on when in January 20th, right? Yeah, it was inauguration day or whatever. So
It was.
the thing is that it's a week and a half later. So yeah, the off season is shorter, theoretically. So yeah, I mean, college football, it's over, and I know like a lot of people like already want the next season to start and miss it, which I do too. I want the next season to start like anybody else, but it's like for me, it's like it just ended. Like March Madness is the focus right now. Like it's just not on college football, but there is still college football stuff to talk about, but it hasn't been that long since the season ended.
No, it feels like it is even starting a little bit earlier because you guys have your spring game April 12th. Is that right?
Yes, we have our spring game April 12th, but it's modified. And the Texas A&M spring game, I talked with Cameron Honesty, the editor of Aggie's Wire on the Jacksonian, and there's like minutes before I brought him on, I saw in his article where he said that the A&M Aggies are having their spring game on April 19th. So that's going to be interesting to see. And Texas not having it.
I don't like the fact that they're getting rid of spring games at some of these.
They're throwing the baby.
I don't
out.
like it. I mean,
they're throwing the baby out.
All you gotta do if you don't want to do like the full game, like you don't want an actual game or injuries and all, just do a modified version. Like do
exactly.
What some of these schools are doing, where it's I like it. I wouldn't say like non-contact, but it's just. It's not like a football game, we're right. Like an actual game where really rough and tumble things can occur, bad stuff for your team, because you don't want friendly fire, right? So I mean, but you can still have something, like you should have something. But it does seem like if more and more of these schools start getting rid of it, then the others will follow suit, and then eventually you won't even have it anymore. Which I mean, I don't really. Honestly, I mean, that's probably for some people absolute blasphemy, but I've never really cared that much about the spring game for like college football. I mean, again, like it's I watch like a couple of them if they're on TV, something like, but I mean, I've never really cared that much about it, because again, like my focus is on other sports at that time. I mean, it's just. Some people really care about it. I think it's cool, like to watch highlights, but I mean, it's not really a good indicator of like where your team's at anyway, even when you're playing an actual game. Because like sometimes a guy can shine in spring and then he's never heard from again. So I don't know. I'm not saying I don't want the spring games to go away, but I don't think they're the most important thing either. But I still would prefer to have them.
No, they're definitely not the most important thing. But a couple things that I think that I ashamed that I lament are, this was the only thing between the end of the season and the next season that fans have ever had to like get together, and watch. It's the only thing that kind of whets your appetite between January and August. It's a long off season. We have the longest off season of any major sport. So,
well, there is one other thing that can help your appetite a little bit when waiting for the season to start.
Are you about to cut into a promo? Did I set you up here?
No.
Oh.
For once, it's not a promo. We do that after the callers, but
Okay.
no worries. But waited out for the Lindy's magazine, and then waited out for the Phil Steele magazine. That will always help that appetite waiting it out for college football to start.
Well, now you got the spring football too. You know, I know some people hate that, but like that kind of satisfies the itch, you know, for football. And you also have the Canadian Football League, which, you know, I know I know some people
need
don't
to
really
do
want to talk
better
about
about
Canada
watching.
right now, but you know, the Canadian Football League exists. I mean, there is football, you know, between like the end of the college football season and the beginning of the college football season, the next season. Like you have the spring.
Every time I watch Canadian football, I really enjoy it. Like I think it's a fun brand of football to watch.
I love
It's
seeing
different.
the goalpost, like where
Yes,
where it's
that is really
located. So dumb.
Like,
you'd love
Sean,
to be
note
a kicker in that. Those really wide goalposts and.
Sean, note to self, I need to talk to you about Canadian football. We'll have to do like little watch parties for it.
Yeah, there we go. I can teach you about a ruse here. A rouge. You know the ruse at one point.
Well, and also know like Chris Berman covers like the Grey Cup on like Info Primetime, and he was like doing it on the Blitz where he was like always covering the Grey Cup, and he still covers it to this day. The UFL, how you feel? Are you watching a little bit of the UFL or no?
I enjoy that less than the Canadian League. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of it if I'm around and not much else is on.
I like the USFL better than the XFL.
I thought the coolest story from the UFL last year was Jake Bates, the kicker for the Michigan Panthers, goes on there and kicked in and drills a couple 60-yarders and ends up being the Lions kicker this year. That was an interesting, but I don't know.
That was cool. And you had Turpin, you know, that the like year prior to that, who you know was in the spring league, and he went to the Cowboys. So I mean, I like the USFL better. I mean, it just felt more like just football, whereas like the XFL was more gimmicky. With you know, they kept talking about betting throughout like the entire game. They were having like YouTube celebrities like interviewing them throughout the game, and like, oh, you have the 1 point, 2 point, 3 point conversion. It was just gimmicky. And then now you combine the two leagues into the UFL, and they retained a lot of the XFL stuff because The Rock's still like a part of it. I like the USFL better. That's just my opinion. Because I just like straight up football. I don't really like gimmicks that much. I know it's a spring league, so you can do gimmicks, but to me, it just delegitimizes the game. Kind of like the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is so stupid now with all of its dumb rules and no tackling and everything. It's like it's not even watchable. I mean, I understand that it doesn't matter, but it's not fun to watch. The XFL is way better than the Pro Bowl, or the UFL now. It's better than the Pro Bowl, but I don't love it. I mean, I like you said, Sean, if it's on TV, I'll turn it on or whatever if I have nothing to do. But I like the USFL, the pre-Rock XFL better, and the AF was decent. But man, the ownership of that league was a disaster.
That seemed like it was the one that was trying to be the most like legitimate of all of them, like an actual developmental league, but. Well, I think there's really only room for one of those kind of leagues anyway. I mean, it gets diluted. It's already kind of diluted because hardly any of these guys have any NFL futures as it is.
Yeah. I mean like it'd be great if you had more like AJ McCarron stories, honestly, like former NFL players, like if Cam Newton would play in it, like stuff like that would be cool. But like you just have a bunch of dudes that were like 7th round picks or undrafted players that didn't make it in the NFL, and then they're playing it. And it's cool, but it's like they're not good either. I mean, honestly, like you almost would feel like the Georgia Bulldogs or like the Ohio State Buckeyes would probably beat these teams. It feels like.
Oh, I think they would. I really do. And I mean, almost for sure, because these players are only play together for like a couple months. I mean, it's always just
that's kind of pathetic too, in and of itself. Like the amount that they have no
chemistry
time to gel together prior to the game. Like they just start playing.
They basically just assign a roster and have like a short camp where they just have to like put a very limited playbook together and work from that. So it's not a great product to watch, and I think they could also use a lot of help in the marketing department. I'll tell you, it is so depressing to watch. A 70,000 seat Ford Field about a 10-12% full.
That was a joke. I mean, the only games that were like legit with a crowd in these like spring iterations. I mean, the Birmingham Stallions have had a crowd. They've had a crowd every year, and they've won too. They've had a good crowd.
They're also playing in a high school stadium.
True, there. But at least it looks good optically.
Yes, right, exactly.
The St. Louis Battlehawks was good because they lost their NFL team, so like they were supportive. And then like the DC Defenders, like they had the snake thing, the beer snake thing. That was kind of cool. But then you had other ones like the Orlando Guardians and the Michigan Panthers, that are just like a joke. I mean, there's like no one there, and you got this big stadium, and there's no one there. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep. So, yeah.
There we go. But, I would like to see AJ McCarron back. Like, he's still with the Battlehawks, right? Or is that?
I couldn't tell you.
I have no idea. I will say the worst iteration though was when it was the USFL. Even though I like the USFL better, I couldn't stand that the only area that they play was just in Birmingham. So like there was only a crowd when Birmingham played. I know logistically it was great because they weren't traveling anywhere. They didn't have to pay for nothing. But like when Birmingham wasn't playing and the other games were playing, there was no one there. Literally no one there. I mean, you'd have like 10 people in the stand. So it's like, yeah, you're not having to fly guys all over the country, but you're also not making any money outside of one game. So kind of just, I don't know. That was a mess, honestly.
But it'll be fun seeing what happens. But I know Bob Stoops is coaching there, I believe, at the XFL, UFL. He's coaching the spring leagues because like it doesn't seem stressful to them, whereas like college coaching is stressful.
Does anybody remember Jeff Fisher in the spring league, man, for the Michigan Panthers? That was a disaster, man. Like Jeff Fisher was Mr. 500, and he was like 2-8 at the Michigan Panthers. He didn't even have a kicker. He had like 5 different kickers throughout the whole season, and he ended up quitting. It was bad.
God, like Jeff Fisher, he was.
People were like, "Oh, we got Jeff Fisher. He's an NFL guy. He'll do great." Not good.
He was there.
Not so much.
Yeah, it's like, but he was the last holdover for the Houston Oilers. Yeah, I don't care, dude. I don't care.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, when we speak about the last of anything, we just lost our last San Diego Charger. Here.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that on Instagram today. Which
Joey Bosa, the last of the San Diego Chargers. Even though I still know a bunch of people that still call them the San Diego Chargers.
I know, right?
I like the San Diego Chargers.
I know, right? It's like the that Spanish family sucks. Because it's like, good God.
The dual, stadium, like both teams play in the same stadium. It makes you not even legitimate, man. I mean, imagine like some of these other teams, like the Patriots sharing.
Well, they're not the only one with the setup like that.
The Jets and the Giants are, but still, it's about time.
The Jets. kind of suck and the Giants kind of suck, so it doesn't really matter.
Well,
Yeah.
what's extra pathetic about the Chargers setup is that the Rams actually own that stadium.
Mhm.
They don't even lease it from anyone. They actually, like, I think Kroenke actually owns that stadium, and he leases it out to the Chargers.
Oof.
And the Chargers, when they first came into the league, they were playing in an MLS stadium, like a 30,000 seat stadium, or might not even be that one. And they couldn't even fill that up then. So
I hope for the Chargers' sake they could do well with Harbaugh, which I mean it seems like they will, because I mean it's like we saw him winning with Kaepernick, we saw him winning with Smith, we see him winning with this quarterback here, that quarterback there. You got Harbaugh, you're going to be winning with him. You're going to be winning a lot with him. But I just hope the bad luck streak doesn't strike Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Because, I mean, it struck Drew Brees. It struck Phillip Rivers. Is it going to strike Herbert? Because, I mean, because I've been saying from the jump that's, oh, God, you're drafted by the Chargers, you're going to get bad luck. But things may have changed with Harbaugh. So we'll wait and see what happens. Maybe I'm overhyping them. Maybe not. Maybe
you can go back to the Dan Fouts days. They've had a lot of pretty good teams in Chargers history. They've only been to one Super Bowl where they got crushed. So it's
they got smacked off the face of the earth by the Niners and Steve Young. Nowadays, old Steve Young's chilling out at ESPN. At least I think he is.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know. Maybe it's because I just don't watch ESPN all that much, but
yeah,
Smart
it might
man.
have something to do with it. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
yeah.
Well, I mean, like on the bright side, you can see like, Stephen A. Smith a little bit looking all angry and going. And then you got like Wilbon and Kornheiser, looking like angry bulldogs.
What was the show that just got canceled? I saw
Around the Horn.
Around the Horn. I was like, Around the Horn is being canceled. It's over. It's
oh yeah, they're
terrible. I'm like, I've never watched it in my life. Like, it's
I've watched it.
That's crazy. Around the Horn. I'm not young. I'm in my mid-30s here. Around the Horn was on when I was in middle school.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was on when I was in fourth grade.
Yeah.
I think I was in sixth grade when that show started. It's been like 20 plus years, at least. It's just
years, yeah.
Oh man, the moment you see something getting cut after 20 something odd years, that means somebody's getting a big payday. Because it was like when Pat McAfee, because I was talking with Jeffrey and our buddies Austin. Well, I told everybody in 2023, when we were hearing about Pat McAfee getting that big payday from ESPN, that meant one thing: somebody that you're going to love seeing on ESPN is getting fired. Around the Horn getting canceled. That's one of the latest casualties.
Yeah, I can't even believe it. Every time I flip on ESPN or go by that time I see that, or pardon the interruption on, I was always kind of amazed. Those shows are still on the air. They're still doing that.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you who should have a job in television industry. Because, I mean, it's like I've seen this guy Around the Horn and on Pardon the Interruption for quite a few years. Frank Isola. Now, this guy is one of the most level-headed guys that you will see. He is a go-to on NBA, NFL, and all the sports industry. I mean, how he is not having a full-time job with the ESPN. They're morons if they're not hiring him to be like on First Take at the very least. Oh, and good point, Darrell. Like Stephen A. Smith getting that 5-year, $100 million extension. That means one thing. Once again, somebody is getting cut. Few people that you like seeing, few people that you don't like seeing, they're getting cut. There's cuts everywhere. Do not be surprised if you see one of the cuts being Tony Kornheiser. Because I mean, you think somebody like Kornheiser cares? He just has that blank face of I don't care. I
Oh,
don't care.
he's also like 70 something years old.
Oh yeah, he's
You know,
in.
he's got to have he's said it had a really good run. Hey,
Yeah.
Darrell was wondering if he could jump on this call. I know you've got your Stump Jackson thing.
Jeffrey. We'll bring you, Darrell. We'll bring you on after the Stump Jackson.
Okay. All right.
Of the show.
I have a feeling Darrell wanted to address me on a point or two, so I wouldn't mind hanging backstage and then coming back when you're done with the Jacks.
Man, no problem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you
So
absolutely do that, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you back in a bit. But before then, and of course, you can check out Sean Garner on X and Blue Sky. Give him a follow on Sean Gar 2023 2181 and give him a follow on Blue Sky. If you're not comfortable on X/Twitter and on Instagram, give him a follow on Blue Sky. So check it out. You won't want to miss it. And before we get to the Stump Jackson Jeffrey Hour, what you want to do is check out the Voice of College Football X account, where you can get top-notch discussion, debate, and analysis with no off-season. And let me tell you, you're going to see all kinds of wonderful stuff on the Voice of College Football @/Twitter account. So if you're thinking about leaving @/Twitter, maybe don't, because you're going to miss out on top-notch college football content, including from the Voice of College Football, from Mark Rogers and friends. Well, you know, we're breaking the fourth wall inside the 16th wall once again. And you see Ryan Stannard and Garrison Gaddy on the Ohio State Call-In Show. Our buddy TJ giving out the Michigan Standard on Michigan at the Voice of College Football. Our guys, Matt and Jack on Virginia Tech Hokies Live. The new guy, Brian Moore, making some videos with Justin Adams on Nebraska at the Voice of College Football. And you're going to see some good questions. Where are Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers going into 2025 draft?
Curtis
Our
Roy.
friend, there you go.
Jalen Milroe.
There they are. And our friends Leanne Herring and Ruby Dreyer from Ole Miss at the Voice of College Football, making magic on Ole Miss Live with Mark Rogers himself. Mark making some magic with Jason Priester at the Clemson Insider. Coach Burtz and I making some magic, talking about the latest on the coaching staff and much, much more. And that's not all. Come on in and give out some top-notch discussions on the Voice of College Football Instagram account, where you can get top-notch takes in all of college football, where you're going to see the quarterbacks for the 2025 draft, the top 10 transfer wide receivers for 2025. You see, no, and so much more. Oh, Chase Sowell, I can't wait to see him. Auburn's going to be very happy with this young man. He made some magic at Wake Forest. He's going to be making magic in Auburn. Micah Hudson, Casey Conception at Texas A&M, Zachariah Branch. This young man, I'm going to tell you right now, plenty of magic in LA. And he's bringing the LA magic with him to Athens. Nick Anderson at LSU, Deuce Robinson at Florida State, Eric Singleton at Auburn. Our guys, Patrick Privity from Notre Dame at the Boys College Football, making that magic, going over his take on the top 10 QBs.
Fernando Mendoza.
There you go, man. There you go.
Sliding in at number 10. No Bama quarterback, though. We'll see by the end of the season if we got a top 10 guy, though.
There we go. And the moment you've all been waiting for, the Stump Jeffrey Hour of the Alabama Call-In Show on Alabama at the Voice of College Football.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Dad, how you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to wake up.
There you go. Man,
I'm honestly, I'm trying to stay chipper. It's late over here.
Well, Jeffrey and Dad, I don't know if you guys knew this about the season opener for Auburn. So you know, like how Auburn's opening up with Baylor this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to be playing Baylor on Friday night. Think about that. That's going to be awesome. Friday Night Magic on
tune in to, yeah.
There you go. August 29th, Friday Night Magic. Oh man. What's Grok got for us for tonight, man?
Yeah, I went Grok on y'all today. So I decided that we go with Big 12 this time.
Sounds cool.
See what y'all
Well,
know.
one question though about Grok, is it going to be counting like the Nebraska Colorado years from 1996 to 2010, or is it going to like conveniently forget for some reason?
We'll soon see.
We'll find out.
There we go.
All right. Which Big 12 team plays the Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium?
Oh man, Gaylord Family Memorial. Oh man.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean,
It was in the title.
Literally, it said Oklahoma.
All right. Which TCU player won the Heisman Trophy in 1938 before TCU joined the Big 12?
Oh, Davey O'Brien.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the quarterback award.
Oh yeah, everything was in black and white in 1938.
All right. Which Texas quarterback holds the Big 12 record for most passing yards in a single game? And it was 625 yards in 2006.
Oh man, that has to be Colt McCoy in 06, because I mean he was starting that year. He was a
Vince
freshman.
Young was the year before that in 2005, and then it was Colt McCoy in 2006. Because I'll never forget the game Bama knocked them out. Remember, everybody was trashing Bama because they knocked them out, man. And remember they did the same thing to yours recently. They were showing the highlight, man. It was like, yeah, Colt McCoy.
And it's like some people tend to forget about like the 1 second left moment in the 09 Big 12 title game.
Yeah.
And Matt Brown screaming, one. Nebraska celebrating too early, throwing the card in before the horse, and then like the field goal just makes it short, just gets in barely.
What is the mascot of Texas Tech?
Oh man, it's that red rare that looks like Yosemite Sam.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good enough for me.
I
know they throw tortillas at people on game day or on the Fox kickoff or whatever.
Oh man, I remember like Bob Knight was like the guest picker for College Game Day in 08, and I remember they had like Lee Corso firing that little rifle where he's just like firing up in the air. It's like, get that gun away from that old man. He's like Barney Fife with it, I swear.
Which team won Big 12 title in 2003 with a 49-21 blowout? Huh?
Kansas State. They beat Oklahoma, but despite that, Oklahoma played in the Sugar Bowl for a natty because they were dominating everybody in 03. And that was the first conference title for Bill Snyder at Kansas State, as a matter of fact, in his first stint from 1988 to 2005. Everybody knows that.
I didn't. All right. Which team won Big 12 title in 2005 with quarterback Vince Young?
Texas. They smacked Colorado off the face of the earth.
What year was Big 12 Conference officially founded?
1996, because it was merged between the Big 8 and the Southwest Conference.
Yep.
So far, no wrong answers, huh?
Nope. Grot's getting it right. I like it.
Yeah, Elon's got that thing, got the kinks worked out of it.
There you go.
Well, he's busy right now. In 2008, Texas Tech upset #1 Texas with the last-second touchdown.
Michael Crabtree's game-winning touchdown catch from Graham Harrell on ABC.
I didn't even get to finish.
Brett
Michael Crabtree
on that moment.
So what was the final score there?
Oh man, it was a 1-point win by Texas Tech. I mean, my bad. It was a 6-point win. It was like, oh my god, because like I remember the final moments where it was like there was a near interception by Texas. Nope, they couldn't hold on to it. Then there's Graham Harrell throwing that game winner to Michael Crabtree. Everybody's storming the field in Lubbock. everybody's just storming the field, getting all excited. Penalties all over the place. So kickoff's going to be a little awkward, but Texas couldn't get it done. But Texas Tech had that magical season that year in 08. They've been living off that since then.
So you don't know the score?
Oh, man. It's been a minute.
I was like 4, so I don't know. I have no idea.
It was 39-33. So you're right about the 6-point spread on it, but
That's right, because it was like I remember like Texas had a small win against Oklahoma the week before. Then 2 weeks before that, they dominated Missouri off the face of the earth. But 3 weeks before that, they won 45-35 against Oklahoma. And like, holy Toledo, they're like humongous big plays in the 2008 Red River rivalry. But there's a game nobody else really thinking about now. Oklahoma State, Missouri. Missouri was unbeaten. Oklahoma State upsets them in their own backyard on ESPN. Well, I mean, they couldn't put it on ABC on Saturday night that week because ESPN had that little TV contract with NASCAR until like the end of 2013.
Okay, sure.
I'm with Jeff.
I'm not even bothering to debate that. I mean, it's right. Jackson knows, but like, I don't know.
All right. Which team joined the Big 12 in 2003 from the Pac 12 alongside Utah?
I don't remember 2003. Like, I remember Colorado joined the Pac 12 with Utah. That was the end of the 2010 season, but they announced it in June of 2010. But it was official starting July 1st, 2011. I should know because it was like, I remember like they were showing the little Pac 12, Pac 10 highlights, final moments of the Pac 10 on College Football Live on June 30th of 2011 when I was watching on ESPN News.
Well, Arizona joined the Big 12 back in 2003 with Utah.
Arizona joined the Big 12 in 2024.
Arizona, because I was like racking my brain, like Colorado,
Yeah,
no.
like Colorado was the first to announce it. And then like
Arizona never left.
Arizona joined with, but then like Arizona State's like, okay, we don't want our
I'm sorry. My eyes are playing with me. It's not 2003. It's 2023.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
I was like, oh.
It was like 2003.
I remember conference expansion from like the ACC and the Big East, but that was it. And the Conference USA.
Yeah, it was 2023.
Yep.
It's early, man. Give me a break.
Yeah, I was like, Elon might have been wrong this time. Maybe could have.
Oh, man. Which team won the first Big 12 championship game in 1996?
Texas Longhorns.
Yep. Which Kansas City State quarterback holds the Big 12 record for most career rushing touchdowns?
Ooh. Kansas City quarterback, huh? Ooh, what are the choices?
Kansas State.
Oh, Kansas State. Oh, Colin Klein.
There you go. Did I say Kansas City?
Yes, you did.
Not bad.
I was trying to think who was a quarterback from Kansas City. I was like, I'm trying to think.
Let me get us another sip of coffee. Maybe that'll help.
Oh man, it's like Colin Klein now. Oh man, he was a dog in 2011.
Not Calvin Klein, but you know.
Hey, Colin Klein's better than Calvin Klein.
Not according to in the Back to the Future. The mom like Calvin Klein.
Luckily, I don't give a rat's behind what Back to the Future thinks. We here at the Voice College Football say Colin Klein is better than Calvin Klein.
Oh, all right, 2005, Texas shut out Oklahoma 45-0 in the Red River Showdown. Who was Oklahoma's head coach?
Bob Stoops.
Yep.
And Texas ended a losing streak at that time in 05 because they were losing to Oklahoma from 2000 to 2004. Because it
All right. So how many yards did Vince Young account for
oh man.
in this game? How many yards did he get in this game?
I'm thinking like 400 total yards or more.
Ooh. That's a little high.
Well, I mean, Oklahoma was a disaster that season.
310.
Well, it says here, Rock says it's 267.
Good God.
Shocking.
Well, he was being nice to him.
Could have beat him by more, I guess.
It's like the gunfighter on the Westerns where he's just like firing his little warning shot, being like, next time you'll get it for real.
Yeah. All right. What is the name of the rivalry game between Texas and Oklahoma?
The Red River Rivalry, aka
or Showdown, but
yep,
yeah, the Red River Rivalry.
Showdown, yeah. That's why it's got Red River Showdown.
Well, we call it Red River Rivalry. I don't care what.
RRR.
Yep.
The R&R Railroad.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Which team won the Big 12 title in 1998 with a perfect 11-0 regular season?
Well, wait a minute. 1998. I don't remember anybody being okay. Kansas State was unbeaten going into the Big 12 title game, but lost that game, and they got screwed over by the BCS. Texas A&M won the Big 12 title in 1998, but the week prior to that, Ricky Williams was breaking records all over the place in all college football, and A&M lost to Texas. And that's the last time Texas A&M has won a conference title of any kind since.
Sad.
I know, right? All that money and no conference titles.
Brock saying it's Kansas State.
Well, Grock is right about Kansas State being unbeaten going into the 98 Big 12 title game, but, K-State lost. And then they lose to Drew Brees and Purdue in the Alamo Bowl.
The Alamo Bowl.
All right. Which Oklahoma quarterback won the Heisman Trophy in 2008?
Sam Bradford. He was the second straight sophomore to win that Heisman.
Sam Bradford had a really interesting NFL career.
Oh, he's
Very
got
up and down.
He's got a good agent too, because his agent got him prepared. He's like, oh well, we're gonna have them sign these little guarantees. You get hurt, we're gonna give you a lot of money.
All right.
I remember him getting hurt though, like that shoulder where like it just like he got hurt and got knocked down by BYU in the first ever game as a whole at the Jerry Dome on September 5th of 2009 when Oklahoma got upset by BYU. That was on September 5th, 2009 on ESPN, while Alabama, Virginia Tech was on ABC. And then Bradford came back for Baylor. They smacked Baylor off the face of the earth, but then Bradford gets hurt yet again, but this time it was the left shoulder against the Texas Longhorns. Then he was out for the season for good, but he was #1 draft pick by the St. Louis Rams for 2010.
All right. Is
Good old
Jeffrey
Jeff
still there?
Fisher.
No. Okay. Which school joined Big 12 from the Southwest Conference?
Well, it was Baylor, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Texas in 1996.
Well, it just says Baylor.
Yeah, I was multiple teams did.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Baylor was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, there was a humongous lobbying session between Baylor and Houston, which there's a story for that for another day.
All right. In 2019, Baylor lost a 28-3 lead to Oklahoma. What was the final score?
I believe that was a 31-28 victory by Oklahoma.
Close.
34-28.
34-31.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah,
I remember that game. I do remember that game. If it was 31-28, that would have been the exact score as Brady and with the Falcons.
Yeah, then a few weeks later, Oklahoma defeats Baylor in the Big 12 title game.
So who was Baylor's head coach for that game?
Matt Rule, and
Matt
it was
Rule.
his third year because, like, the first year 1-11, second year 7-6, ended with a victory over Vanderbilt in the Texas Bowl. Then they go
With
big.
Derek Mason was at Vandy.
Oh yeah, Derek Mason is he was not cut out to be a head coach, but that third year at Baylor, boom, huge year for Baylor. 2019, Big 12 runners up, but they lose Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. And Matt Rule had to deal with that idiot David Tepper for a few years.
We're still dealing with that idiot David Tepper.
But Matt Rule isn't.
All right. Which team left Big 12 for SEC in 2012?
Texas A&M and Missouri.
Yep.
Yeah, because I should know because like A&M was like talking about it in July and August, but then it became official a few days before my 14th birthday. And then like Missouri officially left in late October of 2011. I mean, it's not hard to remember the headlines that day.
Yeah, I was old enough to actually like remember that happening live too.
Hey, you saw that post that came up just a little bit ago about Jack?
Oh man. This one?
Yeah. Jeffrey, back when Jackson was just knee-high to a grasshopper, he wrote a letter to Lee Corso and told him, "I'm coming for your job."
Well, I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. That's cool. I mean, Lee Corso, he's not going to be there forever, sadly.
He was tasked to write a letter to somebody he admired.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
so he wrote
cool.
a letter. So he wrote a letter to him. "I'm gonna come get your job."
Oh man,
that's so cool. It's funny.
Yeah, he was like 7 years old then.
Yeah, I've loved watching Lee Corso since I was a little kid too. Man. Yeah, I mean he's fantastic. So definitely a good guy to look up to for sure.
I was mean to him when I was a little boy, but I remember when I got older, I loved watching him, especially at Tam where he was like I got a big laugh where he was like yelling at the dog for Alabama, Georgia, where he would say, "That dog is ugly. Give it this thing here." Puts on the big owl head.
Well, I don't know, Jack. I think he might be able to take his job pretty well.
Well, I think Nick Saban and Pat McAfee have that covered for right now, but Desmond Howard's a little easier to replace, especially with the little TV contract.
Well, you were mad at him though because he didn't like Bama.
Oh yeah, I was basically like a young equivalent of our buddy Tim. Like,
oh man,
it's like, oh man. Like you like for those that like tune in to Avatar, you thought like those old debates between like Tim and Go Blue got pretty ugly. Oh Lord.
Hey Jack, you remember when I got compared to Desmond Howard?
Oh God.
And then I was like, yeah, I would never pick A&M to win the title either or make the playoff or whatever. So okay, I'm not Desmond Howard. I'll replace Desmond Howard. You can replace Lee Corso, Jackson.
Well, I mean, like Desmond Howard, he's like a unpaid laughing track.
I won't have much to like live up to with Desmond Howard. It won't be that bad.
Oh yeah. I think he's getting fired. I mean, if they're firing somebody really good like David Pollock in 2023,
I was shocked at that.
Oh yeah. Well, Pollock's happier now. He's kicking butt on his own YouTube channel. That's what matters.
I don't know if I did this question already or not.
Which
team left the Big 12 for the SEC in 2012?
Oh, Texas A&M, Missouri.
All right. Which Big 12 team is located in Ames, Iowa?
Iowa State.
Which coach won Big 12 titles with Oklahoma in 2000, 2002, and 2004?
Bob Stoops.
Yep.
Little fun fact though, 2002 was the second straight year they lost to Oklahoma State at that time. Weird.
Which Big 12 stadium is nicknamed the Jones?
Man, the Jones State, like the
Tech?
Jones it says?
Texas Tech.
Yeah, it has to be.
It says Jones AT&T Stadium.
Yep, Texas Tech.
Yeah, Tech. Yeah.
Texas Tech, they're too focused on living in the good old days, and I hope McGuire turns it around over there in Lubbock. But
They've been mid for a long time, man.
man, they're mid. They are because like they just are.
500.
Yep, 500.
All right, how many Big 12 titles has Oklahoma won as of 2023?
Okay, so they won the Big 12 2000, 2002,
04.
2004, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2010.
That's 7.
Mm-hmm. They shared in 2012. Let's see. They won it in 2015. That's 9. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020.
They own the conference, man, the last 20 years.
So basically about 14.
Yep, 14.
That's what I thought. 14.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
But a few of them, like they lost to Texas in the regular season, including 08. I mean, like smacking Texas Tech off the face the earth 62-21. That's what helped them get in the Big 12 title. And they smacked Missouri.
All right, which team joined the Big 12 in 2023 and had previously been an independent?
BYU.
BYU.
And it sacrificed the BYU Utah rivalry for a little bit.
In 2011, Iowa State upset number 2 Oklahoma State 37-31 in a double overtime. What was the game's impact?
Oh, it got Alabama in the Natty, and it was on Friday night on ESPN. I think Joe Tessitore is calling that game.
It says here it ended Oklahoma State's BCS title hopes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gave it to Bama. Yeah. Yeah, Tessitore, he's the guy that made it very obvious that Georgia was going to make the playoffs if they beat Georgia Tech.
I've wasted my words on Jesse Palmer because, I mean, he's too focused on acting stupid on the Food Network. He doesn't care about college football.
And the Bachelorette.
Ugh, yuck.
The Golden Bachelor.
So who was Oklahoma State's quarterback then?
Brandon Whedon in 2011.
Yep.
Wasn't he the guy that got I could be wrong, but wasn't he the guy that got drafted in the NFL and he was like 28?
Uh-huh.
He was, yeah. He was like old, man. I remember.
Yeah. I remember like
because it was him, it was Whedon and wasn't it Winky, right? They were both old.
Oh yeah, Chris Winky. Yeah, he won the Heisman in 2000, I think.
Yeah, they were both old, man, when they got in the NFL, especially Whedon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like in like when you're playing like football like in college or like NFL, like if you're 28 or you're like 30, 31, it's getting close to getting up there. It's like dog years.
Yeah.
What is the mascot for Oklahoma?
I remember it's like a little horsey.
I just know Boomer Sooner. That's the nickname. That's not the mascot.
It says Sooners.
Yeah.
Okay. Sooners.
That was supposed to be an easy question.
I guess it was a try. I mean, I know it's their nickname, the Sooners, but the mascot, like when I think mascot, it's kind of like Alabama, like we're the Crimson Tide, but then like you got that elephant mascot, Big Al. Like it's some teams you have your name and then your mascot. They're two different things.
Right, like Auburn.
Yeah.
All right. Which Oklahoma State running back set the Big 12 single-season rushing record in 1988.
Barry
Barry
Sanders.
Sanders.
Yep.
That was in the Big 8.
I know that one. I mean, he's in the Heisman commercials, man.
Oh, yeah.
Which coach led TCU to the first Big 12 title in 2014?
Gary Patterson.
Patterson.
I should remember because it was like that was the third year TCU was in the Big 12 and they lost 61-58 on ABC, and that was in week 7 on October 11th, 2014, and then a week later Baylor lost to West Virginia, which I think like college football was still doing like the TV contract with FX, but I could be wrong. It was on FX1, but West Virginia upset Baylor a week later.
All right. Which team joined the Big 12 in 2012 alongside West Virginia?
TCU.
Yep.
Man, West Virginia sacrificed the backyard brawl, unfortunately.
All right. Which Baylor quarterback threw for 6 touchdowns in the 2014 Big 12 title clinching game?
Oh, man.
It's not RG3.
No, because he was a pro. He was in his third years at the pro.
Yeah, he was before that.
Oh, man.
I know who it is. And when I hear it, I'm going to know.
Well, he's a nobody these days. I mean, that's what he'd have to be. I hope he's still in the pros, but what are choices? It'll come to us.
I'm going to know.
All right. So you got Robert Griffin III.
Nope.
Nick Florence, Bryce Petty, and Seth Russell.
Okay, Florence was the quarterback in 2012. So, you said Bryce Petty or what was that last one?
Seth Russell.
I'm going to take a gamble on Seth Russell.
Nope.
No, it was Bryce Petty.
Man, that he definitely does not play.
No.
No way.
I finally stumped you on one.
Yeah, I was stumped. I did not know. I had no clue. I just didn't want RG3.
What is the most points scored by a Big 12 team in a single game set by Oklahoma in 2008?
Oh, man, that was because there's a number of them.
I'm sorry. What was the most points scored by a Big 12 team?
I think it was 66, and it was by Oklahoma in a November game. I remember they beat Oklahoma State 61-41.
It was set by Oklahoma in 2008.
It's got to be against.
How many points?
Oh, Lord.
Jackson thinks it's 66. I mean, that sounds.
I'm thinking 65 or 60.
They cracked 70? I mean, I wouldn't.
No. Well, they scored 60 points on Missouri, like 60-something points. I remember that.
Okay, well, Grock's saying it was 82.
I don't remember 82.
The only reason I said 70s is because of the fact that I feel like I've seen Oklahoma. They had like a high 60s, low 70s game a few years ago with Lincoln Riley, right, Jackson? What?
Huh. I mean, they scored like 77 points against Texas A&M in 2003. Which was like karma for Franchione for bailing on us.
You gonna fact check it?
Oh man! Oh man!
Oklahoma 08 season.
It's got to be against Nebraska or A&M or Missouri in the Big 12 title game.
A&M, they had 66.
I thought it was 66 somewhere.
62 against Nebraska, 65 against Texas Tech, 61 against Oklahoma State, 62 against Missouri.
Yep, 62. It was somewhere.
I don't know where 82 is coming from, but
or maybe Grock's dyslexic. Maybe he meant 62.
It could. I mean, hey, Jackson nailed it. Yeah, West Virginia beat Baylor 70-63. I've seen 70. I think Oklahoma had 70 once against Oklahoma State a few years ago with Lincoln Riley. Yeah, that West Virginia Baylor game, that was the Geno Smith game.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Geno Smith had the game of his life for West Virginia. I remember that game. That game was insane.
There you go.
Well, hey, I mean, so far Gronk's had less mistakes than ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's definitely been an improvement for sure.
Oh, okay. Who was the head coach of Kansas State during the resurgence in the 1990s?
Bill Snyder himself.
And the stadium's named after him.
And then he came back to be the head coach for Kansas State in 2009. But the announcement was made on November 30th, 2009, because not November 30th, 2009, no, November 30th, 2008, because I believe I was getting a haircut that day. And I saw like the little headline.
I don't even remember the day I got my hair cut last. Like, what?
Well, there's like the little headline on ESPN. They were showing like these little montages of Bill Snyder at Kansas State. So, I mean, of course, it's easy to remember.
I mean, I can see you knowing that, man. But then you're like, as the day I got my hair cut, I'm like, oh, okay. You've got like 100 haircuts since then.
Well, and I forgot to mention to Sean a little while ago that like, Dad, I remember you and I both went to go meet AJ McCarron on February 17th of 2018 at Parkway Place Mall. We met him that day. Yep. He might not remember us, but I just hope I don't.
Well, I'm sure he saw like a couple 100,000 people that day back in there.
Yeah, because if he's like, how do you remember that? It's like, well, I mean, it's just what I do. Don't worry. I'm not gonna scare you. Yeah. I think I was like, because I remember I called the Fine Ball show, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to get on your wrong side. A few days later, it's like, oh crap, I gave that old man a heart attack. Oh, Pierre Burns there, great.
Hang on a second. All right, in 2001, Oklahoma upset number 3 Nebraska 20-10. Who scored Oklahoma's first touchdown? Jackson.
I'm thinking Jason White's on that multiple choice list, but let's hear it just in case.
All right, multiple choice. Jason White, Roy Williams, Quentin Griffin, or Mark Clayton?
I'll go with Jackson.
I gotta go Jason White.
It says Roy Williams.
Oh, Roy Williams.
Not the North Carolina basketball coach.
No, he'd blow out a knee if he was scoring a touchdown in 01. They'd be like,
all right,
so my leg.
What was notable about this game for Oklahoma's defense?
Man, that 01.
I know game. That was at the end of Nebraska's glory years. That was at the end.
Now here, let me give you the multiple choice. Held Nebraska under 100 yards, forced 5 turnovers, recorded 10 sacks, scored a safety.
Mm-hmm.
So which
well, there's no safety in that one.
Yeah, it's not that.
What?
Either the 5 turnovers or the 10 sacks.
Has to be.
According to Gronk, it was scored a safety.
No. What?
I
think that's a different game it's going over.
I don't know.
I just remember like the random pick six from the 01 Red River rivalry where it's like tests get picked off at their own 2-yard line. Oh, Oklahoma's picking it off. Boom, they win it.
You gonna fact check it there? Oklahoma, Nebraska, 2001.
So
I mean, that's definitely like that's. I mean, if Jackson don't know on that one, that's
It's a 2010 victory by Nebraska in 01, but then a few weeks later, Nebraska loses Colorado Black Friday. But no, that's not enough to leave you out the Natty. We're having you play Miami.
All right. Which team joined the Big 12 in 2023 from the Pac-12?
Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State,
State.
and Utah.
That's the one I was looking for.
Yep. Because I mean, I should know. I was like calling in on West Virginia's show a few days before it happened. I was talking with the Wolfman and Joey Foster and Tide Guy, talking about how the Big 12 needs to get Utah because like you can't be able to market the Red River Robbery and the Bedlam after 2023. So what you have to do? Market the Holy War by getting Utah.
Definitely isn't as good of a robbery though. I know it is a good one, but it's not as big of a game as those other two, especially the Red River Robbery. It's tough to lose that, but it's the way college football's going.
College football is going to be back before we know it.
Big 12 is not as anywhere as good of a conference with those teams. It just isn't. It's a second-rate league.
I hate that they put BYU Utah in October. It's like, really? You're going to put it there? It's like, that's just...
I drove through Utah once when I was like 21 years old. I didn't see anything out there. It was nothing. There was nothing there, just desert. Every once in a while, you'd see a house trailer out in the middle of the desert. Like, where they get their power from,
Yeah, the only thing in Utah is like that corridor for like Salt Lake, Ogden, Provo, like that section, and then the rest of it, there's nothing. It's just that little section.
Yeah, it's desolate.
Yeah, there's nothing out there.
I don't know why anybody would want to live there.
I mean, I want to go see some BYU football or Utah football, but I mean, maybe Utah Jazz, but that's it, really.
Yeah, if they get better again. Haven't been good since Gobert and Mitchell.
Nope.
All right, let's get back to this. Which Big 12 team plays its home game at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium?
Texas, and they're not in the Big 12 anymore.
No, they're not.
DKR.
So that's another thing we caught it on.
Yep. You've been fact checked, Grok.
All right, which Big 12 team left for the Big 10 in 2011?
Nebraska. And they made that announcement on June of 2010. I believe it was
haven't been the same.
It was a Wednesday when they announced it, when it was like a breaking news event. It was on college football final.
All right, the Bedlam rivalry is between Oklahoma and which other Big 12?
Oklahoma State.
State.
And I've been sobbing like a baby for that game to come back.
I'm surprised they haven't asked us the Sunflower Showdown yet. Kansas State.
Hey, if I gotta go to Oklahoma to lobby the legislator for Oklahoma State come back, I will.
All right. What is the name of the rivalry between Kansas and Kansas State?
Sunflower Showdown.
Kansas hasn't even won that game since 2008. They have been
Sunflower
losing.
Showdown.
Kansas is like Charlie Brown trying to get that football from Lucy. They can't get a win.
Hey Jackson, there's a telephone one too, right? Not like Missouri, Iowa State or something.
Yeah, megaphone.
Yeah, the megaphone. Yeah, I was like, there's like something like that. Yeah, I love these obscure ones that no one remembers. They crack me up.
The broken chair, $3 broken chair between Nebraska and Minnesota. Hey, we're gonna get to see that in 2025.
All right, which West Virginia quarterback led the Big 12 in passing yards in 2018?
Will Greer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will Greer.
I finally answered one first.
Oh, there you go.
It's because I was alive. I was watching.
He threw a game winner against Texas. Gus Johnson got all excited, happy because he went, "Oh, touchdown, West Virginia!"
Yeah, I love when Gus Johnson used to lose his voice, man.
He's just like, bro's just losing his mind. I love it. I'm here for it.
In 2018. Big 12 championship, Oklahoma beat Texas 39-27. Who scored the game-winning touchdown?
Oh, man. Game-winning touchdown? Name us the choices, because if I have to guess, Kyler Murray's one of those choices.
All right, Kyler Murray, Trey Sermon, Jalen Hurts, and CeeDee Lamb.
Jalen Hurts was at Bama at that time, stepping
Yeah.
in for Tua because Tua got hurt in the 2018 SEC title game.
Did Kyler Murray run it in?
It's either Murray or C to the D to the Lamb.
It says here it was Trey Sermon.
Oh, Trey Sermon. Well, I remember the Texas-Oklahoma regular season matchup. Texas won 48-45 because I should know because that was part of my 5-game parlay for week 6 that year. I had Texas on there and I had Colorado, Arizona State. I had Florida beating the spread against LSU. And Michigan, Maryland, Michigan beat the spread. And I should know because it got interrupted by the Kavanaugh confirmation. I'm like, yeah. Let's get back to Michigan, Maryland. And I think I had, good grief. I think North Carolina State was somewhere. But I know that was like my second straight week. I had a perfect parlay that year.
Still on the same game here. Who was
go.
Texas quarterback in this game?
2008, you say?
No, 2018 between Oklahoma.
Man, I know that.
and Texas.
I know that. Is there the multiple choice?
Colt McCoy, Sam Ellinger, Shane Buechele. I can't say it.
Shane Buechele.
Yeah, him.
Yep.
No, it was Sam.
It was Ellinger?
Yeah.
It was either.
Man, I thought it was Buechele, man. Dang.
Sam Ellinger. Oh, man. He was part.
It's been that long ago since he was at Texas?
Well, he was there 2019 as well. That was when they went 7-5.
Wow. Man, time flies, man. Yep. Unreal.
Then they beat Utah in the Alamo Bowl. It's like, oh, you got your Alamo Bowl victory.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, in the 1996 Big 12 championship, Texas upset which highly ranked team?
Nebraska.
Yeah, if it's 90s, it's Nebraska.
And earlier before that, Nebraska lost to Arizona State earlier in the 1996 season.
So, what was the final score of the game?
Oh, man.
Come on,
it's been a minute.
You weren't even alive, man.
Nope.
You're the master of that stuff, though, man. I don't know.
Well, the 96 year, that kind of bought their head coach another year. It was Makovich who was the coach, but then 97 sucked. They threw him out the pasture and then decided, you know what? This guy from North Carolina named Matt Brown's going to get the job done for us.
Well, the final score was 37-27.
Oh, man. It was there somewhere. It was a 10-point win. Like, Texas scored game-winning touchdown. That last touchdown, it was like 4th down. It was like 3rd and short or something like that. But I know Brent Musburger was calling that game on ABC.
Which team won the Big 12 title in 2010 before leaving for the Pac-12?
I don't remember anybody leaving the Big 12 that won the Big 12 2010. I remember
Colorado left, but they didn't win, right?
Oh, Colorado was 5-7 that year.
Yeah.
But there was like an obscure comeback against Kansas that they made. But they were like trailing 45-17, but then they made a comeback, 35 unanswered point comeback, won 52-45. Then a few weeks later, they lose their shot bowl eligibility by losing to Nebraska on Black Friday. Then a week later, Nebraska's in their final game ever in the Big 12 at the Big 12 title game, and they lose to the Oklahoma Sooners in the 2010 Big 12 title.
Okay, well, according to Grok, it was Nebraska.
Nebraska won the Big 12 North Division. They didn't win the Big 12 in 2010.
Yeah, they only got halfway there.
They blew it. They had it all and they blew it.
All right. Which Baylor player won the Heisman Trophy in 2011?
Robert
RG3.
Griffin the third, because he had memorable moments. TCU
RG3.
Friday night, September 2nd on ESPN, upsetting TCU. Several weeks later, the Baylor Bears are smacking the Texas Longhorns off the face of the earth on December 3rd of 2011.
He was
on
good when he
TV.
was healthy, man.
All right. Which Big Team plays, or which Big 12 team plays at Darrell Royal Memorial Stadium?
That's the second time we've been asked that. It's the Texas
DKR.
Longhorns.
Yeah.
Like Grot, Texas left the
Hey,
Big
Chat
12.
GPT was giving us the same question like 4 times. So
Yeah. All right. Kansas State ended Nebraska's 47-game home winning streak in 1998. What was the score?
Ooh. 1998 Kansas State, Nebraska. Good grief.
Yeah, you should know that one, Jack. You were a year old then.
like, no excuses, man. Your eyes were already glued to the
man,
TV.
I know that. I mean, that was the first year at the Frank Solich era. And Kansas State clinched the North Division with that game. That was a 40-30 victory by K-State.
Yep.
There we go.
40-30. See, he was born. He was already a year old. He probably remembers watching that game with his Papa Roy.
I don't think I was watching that game at that time, but I do remember watching the 04 Music City Bowl on ESPN with Alabama, Minnesota, and the 04 Liberty Bowl between Boise State and Louisville. Boise State was unbeaten. Louisville beats them.
So, sticking with this same thing, who was Kansas State's quarterback?
Oh man, it's been a while. Do you have multiple choice for the QB?
Jonathan Beasley, Michael Bishop, Colin Klein, and Jake Waters.
Colin Klein was a baby in '98. Who are the other choices?
It's Jonathan Beasley, Michael Bishop, Colin Klein, Jake Waters.
I'll go with Bishop. I'm probably wrong.
Bishop, because like Michael Beasley's a basketball player.
It was Bishop.
Yeah, it's like Beasley. I was like, no way on that. It's like it's got to be Bishop.
Yeah. All right. Which team joined the Big 12 in 2023 from the American Athletic Conference?
UCF.
Cincinnati, Houston, and Central Florida. And it was all announced on September of 2021.
Yeah, Cincinnati was the one I was looking for. It gave Utah, Cincinnati, Arizona, Colorado. So, All right. How many Big 12 titles has Oklahoma won as of 2023?
14.
We just did that.
That's the second time.
Oh, I know that because Jackson answered it already.
Since I got through reading it, I was like, we already did that. It's recycling on me. All right. Who holds the Big 12 record for most career passing yards set at Texas Tech from 2005 to 2008?
Graham Harrell.
Yep.
I mean, those Mike Leach quarterbacks are always breaking records all over the place.
Yep.
All right. Which team won the Big 12 title in 2021 with a 10-2 record?
Oh, it was it was the Baylor Bears, because I should know Sean McDonough threw out the puberty voice when Oklahoma State got stopped short.
Which team joined Big 12 in 2012 alongside Virginia? You got TCU, Utah, BYU, and Cincinnati.
TCU joined alongside West Virginia.
Yep. All right. And last but not least, which Big 12 stadium has the smallest capacity at around 30,000 seats?
Which Big 12?
Yes. Which Big 12 stadium has the smallest capacity at around 30,000 seats?
I would say Kansas.
Has to be.
Your choices: Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium, McLean Stadium, which is Baylor, Boone Pickens Stadium, or Jack Trice Stadium.
That's
Gotta be
Jack
Jack Trice Stadium.
Well, they're saying it's Baylor's, the McLean Stadium.
Huh. I would have thought Kansas was the smallest, right, Jackson? I would have thought, but is Baylor smaller than Kansas and Iowa State?
Apparently so. Apparently so.
Google it.
I thought Boone
Yeah.
Pickens was cheap.
Yeah, let's see. That is an interesting question. McLean is 45,000. Jack Trice. I know that one's small, on the smaller side. 61,000. Dang. Wow, I didn't think it was that big. And Kansas.
That's funny.
Kansas. 52,000 record attendance. Wow. I guess it is Baylor's. I was wrong on that one.
Yeah.
You probably were watching football in diapers.
I'm sure I was too. I just don't remember it.
Well, Jackson's grandfather owned a sporting goods store, and he knew a lot of people in sports too. And matter of fact, he would sell T-shirts like the winning scorer of Alabama games. He was always down at the Alabama games, and he was making money hand over fist after the game. You know, he had a screen printing thing. And he would print out all these shirts as soon as the game was over, and he'd make a lot of fast cash like that.
That's cool. I mean, that's a really smart way to do that for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But no, Jackson's been around football since he was probably 3 months old.
Yeah, you got to start young,
There you go.
Be passionate about what you love from the beginning.
There you go. It's worked out nicely so far.
Well, guys, I've enjoyed it.
There we go.
Always a blast. Always love the Stump Jackson and Jeffrey segment. It's great. I mean, we have so much fun trying to decode the AI. It's unbelievable.
There we go. It's always fun where he tries to stump us every single Thursday night.
Yep.
Jackson, he gets about 98% of them right, and then I'm like, Will Greer. Got like 2%.
RG the third. No, you said RG3.
Yeah, RG3. I know a couple of them like off the top of my head.
Oh, wow.
It's funny.
I'll find another conference for next week.
Probably the ACC or the AAC.
Yeah, if we start getting to like the MAC, it's like, no, I'm not gonna know any of these.
Maybe I'll drop down to some of the younger or smaller divisions.
I think Jackson will be stumped a lot more.
Yeah.
Well, as they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, but Jackson doesn't watch any of this, like, was it Division 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can learn a little bit about them.
I have enough info already in my head. I can't memorize that. And definitely not Division 3.
One where we live in Huntsville, we got one of the better schools in that division.
Mm-hmm.
But Jack never watches the game.
It's probably rarely on TV. Maybe it's on like ESPN Plus or something. Maybe
it's on the local channels most of the time.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
There we go.
Makes sense.
And it's only maybe about 5 miles away from our house. So
wow. I mean, hey, that's like worth going to see. You're like 5 minutes away.
There we go.
That's
Note
cool.
to self: make sure to visit Alabama A&M and learn a little more about them.
Yep.
I remember
Yeah,
they were on
that's-
like the newspaper though. Like I remember reading about them there when I was like 7.
apparently they're doing pretty well, but I don't keep up with it that much either. So
Yeah, but I'll have to make sure to do better about reading about everybody in the FCS, especially our guys at the Voice College Football Merrimack.
Yeah, the Mary Mac channel coming soon. Yeah,
so what y'all think Gronk is better in chat?
I think so.
GBT?
Oh,
I
a lot
think it did
better.
better. Yeah.
A lot better.
Well,
I don't.
I'll give it one more chance, and then I might find another AI to use. There's like 1,000 of them out there right now.
There's
There we
so
go.
much AI, it's unbelievable. I try to avoid it as much as I can. I mean, like some people use it for all their schoolwork and like everything. I'm just like, I look it up myself. Like I do at least do some of the research myself. Like I'm not gonna let the robot completely take over. I gotta show some effort. Like it's funny.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna have to go to work.
All righty. Appreciate you tuning in
Appreciate you
and
for
giving us
coming
some
on.
questions.
All right, y'all have a good night.
You
I'll see
too.
y'all soon.
Hope you have a
Stay
good
away
day.
from that cold weather.
Oh, it's a little warmer today. I think
Good.
it's gonna get up to about 60 today.
There's not any pollen there, is there?
There's something out here. Dang
Well,
it.
get the belt out for the pollen just in case.
Yeah, my eyes were itchy bad yesterday.
I can't stand that. That's a terrible feeling. Ugh.
Yeah, I had to because I got contacts, so I was constantly rinsing my eyes yesterday. But
Yeah, it's
There we
tough.
go.
and
All
out
right.
there where I work is next to an airport, so the wind's blowing constantly. So
That does
I
not
try to
help.
stay inside. Try to stay inside as much as I can.
That's what I've been doing. I've been making sure I stay away from that pollen. But then there's been rain last couple days. Good thing, just in case.
Yeah, I was looking. The tree pollen's really bad back in Alabama.
Mm.
There we go.
I got some of it where I'm at too. It's not good. Don't like it.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Well, I gotta go. I gotta go fight this traffic and get to work.
There we go. You be safe. Be
All right.
careful.
Stay safe.
All right. I'll talk to y'all soon.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
All right. Bye now.
Well, that was a lot of fun, and we're gonna have some more fun real soon, especially from our next 2 callers. Especially, we got Tay-Tat giving out a Roll Tide.
Gotta love that.
And of course, before we get to our next callers, I say I give out another gift.
Jackson's on a gifting spree.
I figure why not? It's like
These
Like
are our
the
last
story.
2 callers, right?
yeah. I mean
Okay, yeah.
but we're not going over
No 3 hours. No 3
3
hours.
hours
We're at
session.
almost 2 hours.
We're gonna do like
If
20
not, I'll
minutes.
just have to tap out and let you 3 go.
20 minutes because this young man's because we got to get him to bed. We got to get him to sleep. And he's been losing some sleep here and there. But before that, another member is here on Alabama Voice College Football, the 8th, as a matter of fact. And it's a guy named Michael. Huh. All I can say is congratulations, Michael.
Take advantage of it. Take advantage.
You are
of
now a YouTube member of Alabama with the Voice College Football. Come
Yeah,
on.
I thought I was special here. Getting gifted
You're
tonight.
still lucky 7, Sean. You're still
Yeah,
lucky.
that's right. Okay.
Yes, you are.
I don't have a membership, Sean, so you are, okay?
Comment a
I'm
lot. in
surprised the
chat.
real didn't get it over Michael though. Like the real comments way more like Michael. Like that's not in the comments like not very often.
Oh, we won't forget about Jacksonville State. As a matter of fact, they're in the Conference USA.
Yeah, like our main chatters are usually Golf Out of the SEC. You got Darrell, Sean, Troy V, IT guy, Jackson's IT guy.
Yep, our guy Tay-Tat. There we go. And Byron Walker and Godfather's still here, man. Give a call to your friends about the magic that is being produced on Alabama Voice College Football. Let them know if they're not watching Crimson Tide Live or the college show or the primetime live show on Alabama Voice College Football, they are missing out. So the invitation is there to like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video or episode whatsoever. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? Sean, we see you there.
Mhm.
Glad to see you. Glad you're lucky number 7. Darrell, we're going to see that you can be our 9th, 10th of many more members of Alabama Voice College Football. What's on your mind for the Alabama Crimson Tide for football and basketball? Because, like, the basketball, I've been thinking about it. We got to get all the kinks out now before March Madness. That's the important part.
Yeah, it seems like you all are locked into a 2 seed with the loss at Florida. I mean, Alabama's issue is the same issue I've been saying for weeks now. Their defense is just not championship level, but they can easily make the Final Four, even the national championship game. I find it hard to outshoot elite teams in March for multiple games in a row, and I think they're eventually going to run into one of the other 5 teams: Duke, Houston, Florida, Tennessee, or Auburn, and they could beat one, but I don't think they can beat 2 of those teams in back-to-back games. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed, good buddy.
Yeah, I agree, Darrell. That's been my main argument against Bama, for the last half of the season. I'm like, they're not good enough defensively, and they're not getting any better. And yeah, their chances of getting a 1 seed are pretty much cooked unless they beat Auburn and then go on a very deep run in the SEC tournament or win the thing. Then maybe they could still get it, but most likely they'll be a 2 seed. But I think they'll go on a deep run. But yeah, it's just the likelihood of them winning a national championship with that poor of a defense it's not likely at all.
Where is the ACC or the SEC champion tournament this year?
Nashville.
It's in Nashville. Okay.
It's usually in Nashville.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
I didn't know they move it around like the Big Ten does.
No, the ACC is always in Greensboro or North Carolina, and then the SEC is always in Nashville. Or it's been there for a very long time. I'm sure
the Big Ten should stay in Indianapolis. Man.
It should.
Like if they move, when they went to Minneapolis, that was dumb. I mean, I'm sorry. Minnesota it's just such a stupid area to have that, man.
Why is that a stupid area?
Because it's
Minneapolis is a much bigger city than Indianapolis.
Indianapolis is in the center, of what the Big Ten was, and now it's like Minnesota's not. It's like the northwest part of what the Big Ten was. Now it's like, oh well, we might do but like Denver. It's like no.
But Minneapolis is actually a lot easier to get to than Indianapolis. Like Minneapolis has Minneapolis has a major airport. Indianapolis, you almost always have to fly in somewhere else.
If you saw the crowds though when they had it in Minneapolis that year, the crowd sucked.
Yeah,
they sucked. That's what I'm saying. It's a stupid place to have it because the crowd sucked. In Indianapolis, you can take the corners, and the fans can come, because in the center. Plus, Indiana is kind of like North Carolina. It's a basketball state. It just makes sense to have it there. It does not make sense to have it in Minnesota. I'm sorry. I don't care how great of a city Minneapolis is, how travelable it is. It doesn't matter. It's just a dumb place to have it. It was terrible. The sales were horrible. And they should never do that again. And I hope they never do it in Denver or Salt Lake or any of that.
Well, they had it in D.C. a couple years ago. They had it at Madison Square Garden one year.
It should stay in Indianapolis.
The Big East has it now, so that's not going to happen.
It should be in Indianapolis because of the fact that it's the center of the old Big Ten, and Indiana is a basketball state like Greensboro is for North Carolina. That's my opinion, but
that makes sense. But Chicago is a good place to have it too.
Chicago's fine too. Either or. That's fine. Either or is fine, but nowhere else.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jeffrey. I mean, Indiana has been the temple of the Big Ten
And they still are. I don't really care that UCLA has more titles and whatever. I don't care. Indiana's the Big Ten in basketball, even though they've sucked forever. I mean, they're the pinnacle of Big Ten basketball, just like North Carolina and Duke are for the ACC. I mean, I still look at Indiana, Michigan State as that over UCLA. I mean, UCLA is not a Big Ten team. They are a Big Ten team, but they're the Pac-12. All of their history is in the Pac-12.
It's really all in the Pac-8, to be honest.
Really, the Pac-8. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick Cronin's had an interesting year with UCLA, and he's been a pretty disappointing coach overall.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in what he's been doing there.
Oh, before we get to our next point, I just realized the opponent that North Carolina State was playing in week 6 of the 5-game parlay I had for 2018. They were playing Boston College. I was like, wait, not Florida State, but never mind. Go ahead, Duro.
Did you happen to lose this? I'm curious. Did you happen to lose this 5-team parlay because of Boston College, NC State?
No,
that seems like a pretty
I won it, actually. No, that was like the second straight week I won a parlay that week.
Cool.
You have a
5-game parlay. We did like $5. You win $100.
You know the odds on those things are worse than if you just bet it straight through each game, right?
Yeah.
But the payoff is, I mean, the payoff's not nearly as good if you bet it, because you're only getting winning your bet back on each of those when you parlay them.
Well, that's assuming the odds are even 50-50 for each team, and you're not going with any underdogs. But my point is the odds. So for each leg you add to a parlay, Vegas is taking more of a house edge with each leg you add, and that's how they make most of their money. I think FanDuel and DraftKings, half their money they make is on these parlays because they're suckers bet. Most, if not all, gambling's a suckers bet. That's a really suckers bet.
Gambling, man, sports betting is so risky, man. And some people just bet their whole.
No, I'm like what I'm saying is, if you bet all of the games individually, you don't get near the return as if you parlay it. Because you only get like whatever the odds are. If it's reduce
your chances of actually,
if it's minus 110 or something, if you bet 5, you're getting $45 for every 50.
It's kind of like putting your money in the big lottery. If you put your money in the big lottery, right, like the state lottery, your chances of winning are a lot less than if you do like scratch offs or whatever, but you're gonna make less with the scratch offs if you win. So it's like you have a better shot to win, but you're gonna make less. It's the same thing. So like parlay, you might get a lot more money, but your odds of winning that thing is low. It's so low that it's
your expected value, your expected return on betting parlays is worse. It's lower.
This is why I only do the lottery scratch. We're messing with that stuff. I only do lottery scratchers on my birthday every year. It's been an annual thing since 2020. And yeah, so it's like, so what I do is study how many of those things that have left over, like how many prizes are left. And that's a thing you want to do when shopping for lottery scratch offs. And you want to do the math on it, like, because math's an important key component when winning those things.
I don't know how many people are capable of math that buy scratch-off tickets. I would assume that those two things are pretty mutually exclusive.
Well, they should.
No, they're not winning. Those are definitely not winning bets. Scratch-off tickets.
I completely agree. Now, Sean, it's to get back to the topic I wanted to talk to you, since we've been 10 minutes talking about off-season. I think the most off-season conversation I've ever heard was UFL football. That's pretty good stuff, but it's pretty off-season stuff.
UFL football, lottery scratchers, parlays, all right here.
We should just dedicate like a 2-hour show in the middle of the October to the UFL one time.
Something.
Oh heck, maybe we can do like a Jack Sullivan episode where we do something like that, where it's just like all of us talking a bunch of nonsense, like on that particular episode. Just like all four of us just like coming on in.
Yeah, that show would almost be more of an embarrassment than the Mary Mac show. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey,
I think Mary Mac would be better than the
you
UFL.
shut your mouth. You shut your dirty mouth about Mary Mac. The Mary Mac Warriors are a national treasure, and I will not have their name besmirched.
I'm praising Mary Mac. I'm saying that the Mary Mac show would be better than the UFL show.
Oh, we know a guy that said USFL's over. My life is sad. Like, bro, how is your life sad from the USFL?
Well, the USFL is over forever. So
yeah, it was over for almost 40 years before it came back.
Oh my god!
The lottery is a scam.
I don't want to say that because crypto coins exist, but
Crypto coins just got a lot stronger. I don't know if you realize this. We've got a reserve now, a strategic reserve of shit coins.
Okay.
I don't know what part. The only word I think applies in that sentence that's actually true is reserve. I don't think the word strategic applies to it at all. I think what would be equal.
Well, it is officially in the title. It might be false advertising there a little bit, but
just a little bit. You think?
Maybe
just a little bit.
I would be a bit surprised. False advertising is very common these days.
Mm.
It's like having a medication pill that's one of those things you see at 2 or 3 a.m. that says it'll cure like this type of like depression, anxiety. It'll cure all your ailments, help your grandparents to go through like recover from a stroke.
I see those.
It's that water
that
Jesus drank. They found it, and you can buy it for $23.95.
Yeah, $23.95, and you'll live forever. It's kind of like SpongeBob episode where it's like you rub the chocolate on your skin and you'll live forever.
I love
hate
chocolate.
You.
What? What did he say?
Rub it on me, you lazy Mary.
What did he say?
This is a good comment here. Connor, you can go to Fort Knox.
Sweet chocolate. I always hated it.
Yeah, they went to Fort Knox and found all the eggs.
Don, were you there?
Was the Godfather there? I don't know. I mean, I have never been to Fort Knox.
There's some conspiracy theory that there's never been any, or there isn't any gold there.
I'm going to Fort Knox. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. There was. Yeah. Saw something and said they're going to audit it. They're going to check and see the gold there.
Yeah, like take pictures and then it'll like leak them on the internet, and then it'll be gone by tomorrow.
I don't know if you guys know how well Fort Knox is, but it's a pretty militarized place. You just can't walk there and be like, hey, I want to take some gold. No.
I would hope that there's gold in Fort Knox, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, we're broke, man. We're so broke. But Canada's in worse shape. Remember, Canada's in worse shape.
Oh my god!
What are you talking? Hold on, Jeffrey. What is this Canada? Isn't that a
dude? I'm
now?
just laughing, man. Like,
Toronto Blue Jays are right now. What the Toronto Raptors are? The Canadian Football League. Let me see.
That's something else. Like you all were talking about Canadian football. What are they just going to merge with college football or the NFL when they become part of us?
Yes, yeah.
That's the real question.
Well, if they do,
that's a real, yeah. Do we? Yeah, I mean, is the NFL going to get the Argonauts?
Well, it will be the UFL North Division. The UFL North Division.
So is the NFL is the UFL gonna play with 3 downs and have the Rouge as well?
Yeah. When the Canadian Football League teams play the UFL teams, they only get 3 downs and we get 4.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's part of that 25% tariff. that they're getting charged, right? They lose a quarter of their downs.
Oh my god! Like, oh man, can we have like a Mexico team in the NFL? That would be cool. Like preferably someone from Tijuana.
Canada's so mad, dude. I'm telling you, man. All you gotta do is look on social media, man.
Oh God,
they're losing their minds, man.
No. I listened to a podcast. Tony Altomore, one of the good friends of the Voice of College Football, used to host the Pac-12 show on this. He was on a podcast because apparently he was part of an outside organization that had to go to Canada and he did kind of a Doge-like thing in Canada like 15 years ago. So he was on this podcast. I listened to this whole podcast. It was like an hour and 15 minutes long. There was one joke like near the beginning of it where the host talked about them being the 51st state. I swear 80% of the comments were Canadians saying, "Don't you fucking dare joke about us being the 51st state." That was it. That was almost the whole conversation in the comment section.
I'm like,
well, hold on. I think
mad, but like, what do they got to be afraid of, man? Like, what's the problem?
Hold on. I think I know the issue. They don't like the number 51. So they can be 52 if we take Greenland first, or 53 if we take Gaza and Greenland first, or 54 if we take Greenland, Gaza, and the Panama Canal. So they can be any of those numbers. Huh?
What about Puerto Rico?
We've already got Puerto Rico. That's a territory.
Yeah, but they're not a state.
Why would we make them a state? What do they offer?
I don't know.
How many Americans do you think can put Puerto Rico on a map?
I know exactly where it is.
Well,
what percentage do you think? I'm not saying you, but what percentage?
How many Americans know where Canada is? I mean,
more than Puerto Rico.
That don't know that either.
More than Puerto Rico is the answer.
No, like, are you sure if we just isolated the Caribbean Sea, could you locate which island is Puerto Rico?
Yes,
you could. You could.
Yes.
Well, gentlemen,
you're better than most Americans with that.
I think
Sean, you would have a geography class one time that went extensively over like the shape of everything in the world, like where everything is. So yes, I know where it is.
Oh man.
And I know like the capitals of most countries too, but that's not important.
Oh man. Well,
capital of Bolivia right now.
Well, gentlemen, I think we went a little off the rails.
I'm so tired, but I know that. Like Peru is Lima. Bolivia, I know that.
They're in South America.
Yeah, I know the answer to that, but I'm tired, man.
Well, Jackson, first off, good job even knowing Bolivia was in South America.
Yeah, good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, right now I can't get it, but I know it. I would be able to tell you immediately when I get off here. I've been up for like 16 hours today, 17 hours. I'm tired.
Okay, so you've been up since 5 a.m. Good grief.
It's La Paz for anyone that was.
Yeah, they actually have two because it's that and the other one's Sucres. Yes,
Sucre.
I know what I'm talking about. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got two. Yep.
So, we kind of got off the weeds a bit, I think.
Yes,
maybe
we
just
did.
Wait. This isn't the Voice of College Football South American Geography.
Yeah, like that's a part of our program.
The Alabama Crimson Tide College show.
Yeah, like me and Sean naming both the capitals. Like the fact that I knew there was two is pretty impressive.
Here we go.
But Darrell,
you gotta know that.
Well, Darrell, you got a invite to a group that Sean and Jeffrey are in. Something that's my own on my Discord. So got a little something. But
thank you. I'll take a look into it. I'm not on my phone right now, so I'll have to do it on there. But because I got the app on my phone. But Sean, I wanted to ask you because it's been a few weeks, months
Right.
since you've been on here.
Mhm.
You know, we had a very good in-depth playoff discussion that I felt like we met some common ground upon, and we were able to understand one another. I'm curious now where you're at with this reports of the 4 automatic qualifiers, because at least from my perspective,
I have to be brought up to speed on that. I'm not exactly sure what has changed.
okay, so they're basically putting in stone that no matter how bad the SEC or Big Ten is, they are getting 4 spots. The ACC and Big 12, no matter how bad they are getting 2 spots. The G5 is getting 1 spot, and then if it's a 14-team model, there'll be 1 at large. If it's a 16-team model, it'll be 3 at large.
I just don't like how in all these models that you have to guarantee a certain amount of teams.
No,
I don't like that. I mean, it's stupid. Again, the conferences are so uneven. I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten are clearly better. I mean, if they deserve 5 or 6 in a given year, then they do. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just dumb to cap it at these numbers, like these arbitrary numbers. Like, oh well, these conferences are. This is the amount of teams that would deserve it on every given year. No, that's not how it works.
Well, it's not even deserved. It's just given.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, I'll say this. I think the way they give the bids out right now is fine. I just have more of a problem with how they structure the bracket.
Yeah, the structure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's that. Like, I don't mind. Hey, there are 5 auto bids and there are 7 at larges. That to me seems fine. Like, I think these conference in these, second tier conferences, they shouldn't matter. The conference race should, and I want those conference championship games to have significance. I do, and I mean, Arizona State got in because they won it, and they were almost a spoiler this year. They provided a great deal of entertainment. They provided a lot of value to the bracket. I don't like the fact that we're giving teams that are ranked like this year. We gave teams that were basically like the 15th and 20th best teams in the country's buys right to the quarterfinals. Like, no, that's bad. That's bad organization of the bracket.
I got you. My concern is we're going to have teams that are 24th, 23rd, those type of teams be elevated above teams 19th, 18th, 17th, for example, all the way into the playoff because they happen to be in the correct conference and the teams above them happen to be in the wrong conference. And I think the conference model's going to change. Next year, I think in 2026, we're the first 2 teams are going to have a bye. So Georgia and Texas would have just automatically been in as the 1 and 2 seed. And then 3 would have played 6, 4 would have played 5. And the winner of those 2 games are your 3 and 4 seeds to kind of weed out an Indiana type situation. But I was looking at it. Michigan was the 7th best team in the Big Ten with 5 losses. If they had just won 1 more game, okay, there's a situation where a 5-loss team can get in the bracket going forward, which is insane. That Pitt team that was in the Coastal, they would have been guaranteed a playoff spot with like 6 losses. I just think there should be more discretion for you're so bad, you shouldn't even belong. Like, understand your worldview of giving people chances and giving team opportunities like the Ohio State team. But at some point, if you can't win 75% of your games, it's not really giving them another chance. You've had your chances in life, baby. You just need to be completely eliminated. That's just my thoughts, though.
Yeah, I don't know exactly about that. Like, if you play just an absolutely meat grinder of a schedule and you're an 8-4 team, I mean, like, should you be completely left out? Like, you could definitely be one of the 12 best teams or one of the 16 best teams if they expand it that far. There's definitely teams like that every year that have.
No, I agree with that. My thing is these teams are guaranteed to be in the playoff. If the committee selects them as an at-large team, I'm fine with that. I understand the principle, but guaranteeing that team a spot what if they have an easy schedule, but they just happen to win? They're the
conference.
6 seed. They happen to beat the 3 seed on some fluky play, or the 3 seed has a bad day, and now they're in the playoffs. That's where I have an issue with it, and that doesn't seem unrealistic in this model going forward.
Well, I mean, I think now I don't think there's a single conference that has divisions anymore. Is there?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that was a good necessary change, because then there would be like some of these fluky situations where a team does, win the weaker half of the league, and then they pull out a fluke victory in the conference championship game, and they get in at like 8-5 or 7-6 or something like that. Like that would happen eventually.
Correct.
So I mean, the fact that you actually have to you actually have to earn your way into a conference championship game. You can't really luck your way into that. That alleviates some of those concerns, because like some of those teams that won the Coastal that were absolute garbage, or the Big Ten West that weren't any good, they wouldn't have a shot.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying, we're gonna have all you have to be is the 6th best team in your conference going forward in the Big Ten and SEC. Those teams could be pretty average, or they could pile losses pretty quickly.
But those teams, I mean, the conferences have to establish those 6 teams have to establish themselves as like really, really strong, good teams. This year, like the Big Ten, once November hit, there were only 4 teams that had any prayer of making the playoffs at all, because the other 4 had kind of demonstrated themselves as so far and away, above everyone else.
Yeah. I've been hearing about the ACC settlement, and it's down to $100 million, I believe.
200 is the exit fee. It's gonna decrease. I don't know if it's decreasing every year. In 2029, it's gonna decrease to 75 million. But it's a ticking time bomb, in my opinion, for just the ACC to explode. And then, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia, all those schools to Clemson, all to leave and scramble to the SEC and Big Ten. I just am. I was
talking with our buddy Garrison at the Ohio State channel and on the Scarlet Blue show. I had him on a Jack Sane episode Monday at noon Eastern time. And we talked about like what's going to happen to the Florida State Miami rivalry, because like there's nothing to worry about with the Florida State rivalry, because that's state law. That it literally is state law for Florida State to happen. It's been that way since the late 50s, early 60s. But the Florida State Miami rivalry is not state law. They don't have Florida State, Miami. Now, although
there's no way the Florida state law could impact that, because Miami is a private school. They couldn't do that.
It would be wise for the Florida legislature to at least consider having Florida Miami, just like make
they can't do that. The state government can't dictate how a private university conducts their business.
Well, they should make Florida Miami and Florida State Miami be annual. That would be wise, because I mean, like Florida State's on there.
Well, it would be.
So you're gonna force Florida to play Florida State and Miami and the SEC schedule every year.
That would be what? That would be awesome if they did.
Wouldn't really be fair to Florida.
I think
I
think Jackson just likes Florida getting screwed over.
Now,
he wants Florida to have the hardest schedule every year.
They need to have hard schedules. I mean, they're not tough. That's the thing. They're not as tough as they should be.
Florida's schedule this year wasn't tough.
Well, it was
by far the toughest schedule.
There we go.
It wasn't even really close.
It was tough, but they don't have that every year.
If last year's schedule was just tough, then there's never been a tough schedule. Was it just tough? Then there's never been a super tough schedule. They had the most difficult schedule maybe in the history of the sport. They had to play Texas, Ole Miss, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Miami. I mean, my goodness.
Well, I'll tell you this: like Florida's annual opponents should be Florida State, Miami, and Georgia. Do whatever you want with Florida, Tennessee. I don't care.
It's kind of like John Rothstein says on Twitter or X about college basketball, the epitome of brutality. That is Florida's schedule this past year.
Oh yeah, but I mean, they should do this more often. I mean, their non-con schedule isn't tough enough.
Well, I think these non-con games are going to go away since the qualifiers are going to conference games. I mean, Tennessee, Nebraska canceled their series because, from what I heard on a different YouTube channel, was Nebraska was told by a member of the playoff committee, you don't. Why are you playing Tennessee? You don't need to play that game. It's not. You're going to be in the playoffs regardless of that game. So they took that advice, said, "Oh, we'll just cancel it," and they canceled it. So
who was it from? Type the link in if you can.
I heard it from. I don't know. I believe in transparency. I heard it from the Monty Show.
Oh, the Monty Show.
Yeah, and they're pretty reliable. They got the whole Big 12, Pac-12 drama right. So, I generally believe in what they say because they've proven over their track record that they're right. So, if they say it, I'm more inclined to believe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember,
I say that like that goes. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jackson, but I say like, you never know how beneficial that will be. It could come down to like you're 9-3, and you're on the edge of a playoff spot. If you've played nobody in the non-conference and your Big Ten schedule isn't that strong that year, it's kind of a gamble either way. You're just sort of assuming that, in general, it's better off to play a weaker schedule, which I would mostly agree with. But, having a quality non-conference victory will help you.
Well, they play Cincinnati as well. So it's not like they play nobody. Okay. And also, I mean, Jeffrey, shout out to Indiana. They played the Little Sisters of the Poor, the School of the Blind, and then some Afghanistan school in week 3. So.
Indiana.
Thank you, Darrell.
The reason why I don't give Indiana a hard time is because they're not a blue blood college football. I just give like blue blood schools in college football.
Yeah, Indiana deserves a pass after getting destroyed at the Big Ten East for the past 12 years. We needed a run.
Well, I mean, like the goals of Indiana didn't schedule that in mind with like, okay, this will help us get to the college football playoff. That's probably just about never the mindset.
Nettie would have never got rid of that Louisville game. They got rid of it. Tom Allen did because he's trying to save his job.
Yeah,
I completely agree with that. It's just the action. It's the unforeseen consequences of getting rid of that non-conference game. In my opinion, it's like, well, you had this game, you canceled it, so therefore your seeding should definitely be affected or completely removed from the playoffs. I still believe Indiana should have made the playoffs just because of how bad everybody was in general in that range, but I don't think they should have been safely in. I think they should have at least had a sweat selection Sunday. Because
I mean, they tried to make it a case, man.
I wonder if
they were like, "Oh, it's between Indiana, SMU, and Bama." It was never.
Well, I'll tell you this: if Bama and Ole Miss didn't like just completely piss on themselves at the end of the year,
all Alabama had to do was not get blown out against Oklahoma, and they would have been in. Even if they had a loss by 3, they might have got it. It's because they got blown out.
Yeah, and Ole Miss has to not lose to Florida
or Kentucky.
Or Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, Ole Miss had a pitiful non-con schedule. I mean, like you're bragging about smacking down Wake Forest, and then you like cancel your other game and you bail out on USC.
Tennessee blew out NC State. Ole Miss blew out Wake.
Sorry, friend Leanne. Sorry, friend Ruby. Sorry, Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss and other friends of Ole Miss football. But I'm just gonna give Ole Miss a hard time about canceling that Auburn home USC game. You could win. You can end the SEC title drought, and I'm still going to give Ole Miss a hard time.
Yeah, Ole Miss to me is a team that can make the playoffs, but I think they've got a hard ceiling on them. If they can't win a playoff game under Lane Kiffin or even make the playoffs under Lane Kiffin, I don't know who they're going to get that's realistic for them to do better than what they're doing now.
I mean,
Like some programs, a lot of programs just have an absolute hard ceiling through no fault of their own. And Ole Miss is clearly one of them. I mean, we saw what Indiana's hard cap was. I mean, they made the playoffs. They got a fairly significant upside. SMU, similar thing. So, there's only
Indiana
few select
can,
programs that
with
can
the
win
right
it all.
coach, win, but they're not ever going to be a top tier program.
Right.
Yeah.
Only a select few of us can understand what greatness is truly like. I know we're in the presence of a national championship winner here, so he can. It's been called a Mickey
And
Mouse
us
national
championship winners.
I'll say, I mean, just because this is the best we've seen some of these programs do doesn't mean this is the best they can be. I mean, did anyone think like Kansas State would be a top 5-10 program as they were in the late 90s, early 2000s?
I mean, if Lane Kiffin stays,
If you would have seen what they were 10 years before then, I mean, absolutely nobody would think that at all. Go ahead.
I understand, and I agree with that sentiment. I'm just like, it's going to take something that's truly mind-blowing for me to see how Ole Miss even improves from here, because I don't know a better head coach that can fit their program or better players they can get. I just don't know how they could upgrade realistically.
I think Ole Miss.
They need to get Hugh Friesen as a stripper's back, is what they need.
That's funny.
Oh.
Well, they're happy over in Auburn, especially on a Friday night against Baylor. So they're
especially if
just
they beat Baylor.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a question there. I mean, I think that explains why we see Auburn do it so well in the transfer portal rankings and the recruiting rankings. Just like just like get them to check it, and you just get the recruits be like, oh, check out the hitchhiker. Like, oh no, it's like, oh, I'm going over to Auburn. Oh, I can't win a natty. I can't even get the bowl seat. Oh, we can barely beat Alabama. Oh, no, we can't beat Alabama. We can't beat Georgia. But hey, check out Hugh Freeze's girlfriend.
Yeah, Auburn's in a pretty rough spot for their program. Their schedule that they get every year, you want to talk about brutal. You've basically got 2 losses you can put in Sharpie at the beginning of every season for like the last 5 seasons since they played Bama and Georgia. And I know the Plains sometimes Auburn wins, but it's always been an upset when Auburn's won over like the last 10, 15 years,
Oh, man.
So
that is absolutely brutal. Have to play. I always said this about Tennessee during the Saban era. Like, I mean, like Tennessee's a game behind the rest of the SEC East every year. Back when the SEC East was a thing. Like, yeah, they have to, they have to clear the field in the, to get to the title game to win that.
Gentlemen, do you want to know what the big test for Tennessee will be this season?
The big test for Tennessee.
Well, they got 3 of them. Can they finally beat Georgia in Knoxville?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Can they finally beat Florida in Gainesville for the first time since 2003? And can they finally beat Bama in Tuscaloosa? I'm going to say no to both those. I'm on 50-50 between Georgia and Tennessee, but I'll likely pick Georgia.
They should have beat Florida in Gainesville a couple years ago, man. They choked.
Oh, they
right.
I like their prospects of beating Florida and even Bama. I would say they win one of those games. One of those two, Florida or Bama.
It's just a psychological barrier because when you lose as a fan of a team who lost to Florida for 31 straight years. Yes, 31 straight years consecutively. Not like we played twice in 31 years and we lost them. No, literally every single time in 31 years we lost to them. And it gets to you. Like, man, we're getting this lead in the 4th quarter.
Oh, Jeffrey, and shout out to Mark Rogers, the owner, founder, CEO of The Voice College Football. Now, I remember like this rifleman episode, like, and three of us like watched that show. There's like the gunfighter that takes North Fort hostage, and he stays behind just to like take all Lucas McCain. Then when it comes time, the little music's happening. That's the guy's name, Jake Party. He's like going against Lucas McCain, and then he's just like cry flopping on the floor. He goes, they turn me yellow. They turn me yellow. That's Tennessee football in Gainesville. They're so tough, but then they crawly flop on the floor and cry and go, Florida turned us yellow. They turned us yellow. They did it in 2015. They did it in 2023. And they're going to do it to us again. They're going to crawly flop on the floor yet again when the Florida Gators go against. That's what DJ Lagway is going to do to them. He's going to create nightmares for the Volunteers. I'll gladly bet money on that game. I don't care what spreads. I don't care if Billy Napier is about to get fired. I don't care if Florida is about to have a disappointing year. I will bet on Florida to beat Tennessee in Gainesville the week before rivalry week. That is an easy parlay game.
That's another thing that kind of angers me about this Florida Tennessee. I grew up with that being like the third game of the year every year. And I grew up in like that. That was a time when that was one of the biggest games of the year, Florida Tennessee. Like that was always that was in the old days, that was an early season game all the time.
Wow.
I loved it like that. To me, Florida and Tennessee should not be playing the week before. That's a September showdown.
Wow.
Sean,
I think I know why they're
Go
doing
ahead.
it.
What was it? What was the real ask?
I was going to say, why are you complaining about tradition? I mean, tradition doesn't matter nowadays in college football. They're gutting every tradition you can imagine.
Oh man, I think he's being sarcastic.
I mean, the tradition.
I think I need a brain update on my sarcasm meter to notice it. Like,
but no, like in the same notion, like if it doesn't affect anything else, if it doesn't, why not make put Texas A&M on Black Friday like it was for a couple of decades? Why not? Like,
we can't have nice things, Sean. We can't have nice things, okay? It's
don't
we don't
sarcasm when you hear it, Jackson.
I used to be like really bad at noticing it. I've gotten a little better over the last few years, but not by much. I'm just like, they need like an app for that. Like, just be like, type this in. Is this sarcasm or is this for real? Yes, it is sarcasm.
They better get better than the current AIs we have right now. So
that would be nice. I mean, there's not like a sarcasm thing for our social media apps, but anyway, like Florida, Tennessee, the reason why they've got it on the week before rivalry week, it's so we could see who will be the at-large team for the playoffs.
Could be.
I mean, it's smart. It's smart.
Yeah, I would do that. I said we should have a flex date for that last week of the season. That way we can get these at-large matchups. So if the SEC is probably going to go to non-conference games if this thing expands. That's what Greg Sankey's hinted at. I would have that ninth one be open. That way we could have seen Alabama, Ole Miss, and those type of games because, that might have boosted Bama into the playoffs or Ole Miss into the playoffs.
Well, I'm probably gonna be
so have like a week before conference championship weeks that's just completely open, and the week before,
honestly,
the conference decides.
And I kind of wish like the Big Ten could go back to like 8 conference games, and then like you can determine like the number of like annual opponents you want to have. Like, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, that's obviously annual. Penn State.
Well, the Big Ten does that. They said every team put in, hey, how many annual opponents do you want? Some had 0, like Penn State, I believe, has 0. Iowa's got 3. So it just depends on what they selected now. I think Ohio State and Penn State should play every year since those are two of the best teams in the Big Ten by far, and they have been for like the last 15 years. And I think next year they're not playing, which is going to really muddy up the race for the one spot in the Big Ten.
Well, you know why I wish, and even though I know it will never happen, I wish in a way we could see like the Big Ten go to like 8 conference games. Here's why. So Oregon State stays on forever and ever. Washington State stays on forever and ever. Notre Dame USC stays on forever and ever. And then my favorite.
UCLA Cal.
No.
We can get back.
You can bring that back anytime you want. Bring that back. But I mean, who's watching UCLA Cal rivalry week?
Who's watching Oregon play a Mountain West level Oregon State team in a couple years?
Me.
You're watching when Oregon's pumping $50 million a year into their football program.
Mm-hmm.
We're having this juggernaut. You're going to watch them play like this. You're going to watch. You're going to watch them play this Fresno State level program every year.
Every single year, that game's going to have less significance.
Yeah,
I'll be keeping an eye on Oregon State all the same because
it sucks, but that's just the way that it is, man. Those two teams had to join the Big 12, they didn't, so now they're cooked.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been completely ostracized, and I'm worried about that if the ACC breaks apart in 2029, because I don't want to reach a critical mass of teams that don't matter. I wonder what that is. I mean, the Big 12 is kind of in this quasi-weird space where we tell them they matter and they believe they matter, but they really don't matter. Mm-hmm. I wonder if the rest of the ACC is going to be that way, where they think they matter.
But it's very likely that it will if the good teams leave the conference.
I mean, like you're going to have these just how big can the Big Ten and the SEC get?
Well, there was one conference I saw that was 24 teams at one point. So 24, I think we should put as the max, because it's had happened before. I don't. It's been way back in the day, but I think both of them can get to 20 or 22.
Yeah, but now you have every single team in the league will play less than half of the teams in the league, even with 10 conference games. If you have 22 teams. Yeah. That means you're playing less than half of your the teams in your conference.
If the SEC is
schedule disparities are just going to be freaking enormous.
Yeah, I know.
So here's what I ask of Florida State. Here's what I ask Florida State. If you're going to leave the ACC, and I mean if you are, take Miami, Clemson, Georgia Tech with you to the SEC, so that we can bring back old rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the Georgia Tech Alabama rivalry, Georgia Tech Auburn. Bring that game back. Bring back Florida Miami on an annual basis. Bring back Clemson Georgia on an annual basis. Oh, and trade Missouri to the Big 12, and in return, SC gets Oklahoma State, so that the Bedlam's back.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to be trading teams. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, maybe it could. I mean, it should at least be considered.
Yeah, I don't think Missouri is willing to cast themselves into the void forever. I don't see Missouri and their fan base voluntarily being like, guys, we're not relevant, and we agree to it, so we're leaving. I just don't see that.
Well, it'd be more the administration and probably the state legislature. Like if the SEC or the Big Ten were to cast anybody out of the program, or to like expel them, the amount of litigation that would bring on would be mind blowing. It would be the fight you would have there. I mean, you would have such resistance to doing something like that.
Right.
The only way, I mean, you would have to, I don't even know what you could offer Missouri to voluntarily.
Your rivalry with Kansas, you get to have that back.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. That's worth, that's worth $50 million a year in television revenue, in conference revenue easily. Yeah.
We'll put it on Black
We get to
Friday.
play Kansas.
We'll put it on Black Friday.
I know
Well,
you're
yeah,
an idealist.
cool. We'll get that on the CW, and I'm sure that will.
Oh
will
hell
be
no! We're not
rolling
putting
in.
it on the CW. We're putting it on
ESPN 2. Okay.
I miss when the CW was every week. It was the upset, man. You remember that first year of it? Every single week, the team that was an underdog won. That did not happen.
The only
this
team,
year.
Jeffrey, that didn't get upset in the CW?
Oh,
One.
man. Well, but gentlemen, what have you got going on this week, good buddy? Sean, we'll start with you because you're our new member.
All right. I've got a lot going on this week. In the next few weeks, I will not be on either in the next 2 weeks. You can guarantee that. Heading to Chicago this weekend, and next week I'm making a trip to Phoenix, Arizona. Be there for a few days, come back, and I fly right out to Philadelphia. I'm going to be at the NCAA wrestling championships in Philly in a couple weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to be a man of America the next couple weeks, and
There you go.
looking forward to all these trips. So,
Sean, don't forget to point down at the links.
okay. Yeah, you guys can follow me on all of these social media sites that Jackson has so
I
conveniently.
didn't think Jackson knew how to do ASMR, man. What's going on?
Well,
I don't know, but man. So in addition to his future as an ad reader, he's he may have a social media future as well. Yeah. You need to find a way to monetize that, Jackson.
I plan to. Well, Sean, we will be seeing you real soon, and congrats on becoming our new member of Alabama with the Voice College Football. You may not be a Bama man, but you're an honorary Bama man.
All right. Maybe the first and only time I ever say this, but roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yes,
There we go. We'll see you soon, Sean. Stay safe, stay warm, good buddy.
Absolutely.
And now we get to you, Darrell. Tell the people what you got going on in your world this week.
Well, I'll be tweeting a lot about the conference tournaments going on. Like Sean, I will not be here next week because I will also be out west and continually watching and rooting for the tournaments that are happening.
Are you hunting some buffalo out west, man?
Buffalo? Buffalo, New York is out east. Jackson, I don't know what buffalo you're.
I was talking about like some actual buffalo.
No, I don't plan on being in the middle of nowhere. I plan on being in civilization. I don't plan on being in Montana or somewhere like that. I will be around other people.
There you go, man.
So I probably will not be on here next week, but I will be tweeting and reacting about the conference tournaments and March Madness, since that's what's really happening. And I'll also be tweeting about any college football news that drops this week, like the ACC settlement or, the 14/16 model that happened a few weeks ago. And thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, thanks for coming on, Darrell. Stay
Darrell.
safe, stay warm, and tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Publish about the magic that Darrell is creating on his @/Twitter account, and the magic that Alabama with the Voice College Football is bringing, which we will get to in just a minute. So good night, Darrell. Stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
Thank you, guys.
All righty. And we got our message for the night from the Godfather of the SEC, one of our OG members of Alabama with the Voice College Football. Night, everyone, and roll Tide with the #1 foam finger, Jeffrey. what have you got going on Only Talk Sports this week, good buddy?
Definitely be trying to get some more content on the way for March Madness. Talk about the bubble in a video. I'm wanting to do a big bubble video soon. Probably maybe this week or next week before Selection Sunday. Hopefully, I'm rooting for Indiana and North Carolina to make the tournament, obviously. But, if they don't get in, they don't get in. Indiana's in better shape right now, but they got to beat Ohio State. Got to win that game. Carolina's got to beat Duke. So definitely excited about Saturday in college basketball, but should have a bubble video up soon if I get the chance. And me and Will haven't done a show in a while. I'm still trying to figure out if we can get another show running on Only Talk Sports. Also, update as well. Indiana, the voice of college football. Not, I don't think, like permanently off of that channel. Might still make content for it every now and then, but I'm definitely going to be shifting more of my focus over to Alabama at the voice of college football. Or not only am I on here every Thursday night with Jax for the college show, I should be able to be on a lot of the Crimson Tide Live shows on Monday night. Maybe not every week. Some weeks I might not be there with Johnny and Jackson, but I should be able to be on there a lot of the time. So that will be fun. Looking forward to that and being a permanent member of Alabama at the voice of college football.
Well, I'm glad to be working right beside you, good buddy. It's always fun. It's like we've been working so much for so many years, like, especially with like at our old show, Young Guns, and we've done like a Jack Sewing episode. We've collaborated on our personal channels from time to time, and and then another chapter has been like your guest appearance on Crimson Tide Live for the Tennessee week with Caleb Gerard. And then, we're doing like the Crimson Tide Live college show Thursday nights. It thus is added to another chapter of the Jackson Jeffrey magic that we're bringing together on Crimson Tide Live Monday afternoons at the Voice College Football for Alabama.
It's always a pleasure working with you, man. And now we get to do it twice a week.
Nice. It's like, it's going to be fun. And, you're going to get to make some magic with us, man.
Can't wait, man.
Well, you heard the wonderful news here, ladies and gentlemen, and we will post the announcement sometime tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, like for those that missed this last part of the college show, just in case. But, of course, you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979 on YouTube, where I have numerous episodes of the Jack Show, like the one with Garrison Gaddy at the Ohio State Primetime Live show and the Ohio State Call-In show for Ohio State, the voice of college football, and the co-host of the Scarlet Blue show, where we talked so much about all of college football, and we even got to the origins of how he and Bryce Sapp met. Where they didn't like each other at first, but then they became really good friends over time, and then they create the magic on the Scarlet and Blue show. And let me tell you something. It's an awesome episode, and I recommend it. And then I have episode 63 of the Jacksonian with Cameron Honesty, the site editor and lead writer of Aggies Wire at USA Today. And he brings all kinds of magic for the Texas A&M Aggies, and he's a very good friend of the Voice College Football Network. We talk a lot about Buzz Williams, Mike Elko, and what a moron Jimbo Fisher was. I mean, if you're going to let your players smoke pot 30 minutes before a matchup against South Carolina, I'm going to rag on you, especially when you got the number one recruiting class in the nation. And then you go 5-7. And for more updates on what's going on Alabama with the Voice College Football and the Jacksonian, check me out on Jackson BOCFB on @/Twitter and on Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. And like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell to Alabama at the Voice College Football so you never miss no video or episode whatsoever. And we will see you very soon on Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or 5 p.m. Central Time. But get your calendar ready for Monday night, Monday afternoon. And roll Tide!